What is up, RotoGrinders? Dean here at Steam 7904. If you want to get all technical, 2 hours of nonstop MLB DFS conversation starts right now, taking you all the way up to first pitch. I'm arguing on Twitter, not arguing, but debating on Twitter, conversing with people on Twitter about tonight's NBA play-in games. Excited about that. A couple play-in games going down. We're arguing about movies pre-show. That's why we were a couple minutes late. We're going to talk about that later on in the show because myself and Bobby are taking umbrage with some of Tim's movie takes. We'll discuss that later on the show when we're talking a little bit of stacks. But we got Bobby Gomes, who's red hot, at least in the golf streets and in the baseball streets. What's up, Bobby? How are things in your world?
You know, it was great. It was great until I got this text on Sunday from Dean. Said, "Oh, what? Bobby, you're doing really well." And I was in third place in the Millie, and I immediately dropped down to seventh. Immediately.
You wouldn't dare give me your number. You know that story is not true.
The mush accusations, they gain validity by the day. That's all I'm saying. That's all I wanted to throw out there. I don't know. It's been a good day. Just had a meeting with the personal, and now we're on the show with you guys.
You know, yesterday people were telling me my mush abilities are so good that I was going to somehow mush Guilherme into hitting a home run. He was like my second best hitter because he got an infield single. So you know how my night went. It was not very good. We were talking about well into the slate, like the cash line was like 55 or 56. You know, that's how baseball is sometimes. Sometimes just like nobody does anything. Ozzy Albies did something. He played through an injury. He's not in the lineup tonight. He's hitting the IL there for Atlanta. If you saw that, he is scratched. Well, I guess he was never officially in the lineup, but Atlanta loses one of their best players in Albies tonight. Harris jumps up to the 2-hole for the Braves. We do have a 10-game slate. There's a chance we lose one game. Pretty good chance, it seems like. I'm giving Ross Weather Report a refresh. I'm pretty sure we're still at orange-red in Chicago. KC at Chicago. I'll go ahead and drop it in chat for the people. Chat, hit that like button, subscribe, turn on those notifications, do all those things. The more likes we get, the more homers we give the people. I did go 0 for 1 on my homer call, unfortunately, with Kelnick. But tonight we rebound. And you know who's going to help us rebound with this taters? It's Tasteful Tides. Tim, what's up, Tim? We're going to be kind to you now because we're going to be beating you up later as far as your movie takes.
I hit a tater last night, Vinny P.
Oh yeah,
Manicotti Monday. I actually got one.
Why wouldn't he homer on Manicotti Monday?
Right.
What is Manicotti? What is that exactly?
Look it up. Look it up, Dean. Look it up. It's delicious.
Oh, all right. You're going to make me Google? It's some sort of pasta dish, I assume?
It is. Yeah.
All right. Both of you guys, should know this, I imagine. But is it shameful that I don't know what how do you pronounce that one more time, if you don't mind?
Manicotti.
Okay. Yeah, all right. I'm going to Google. Maybe I might have had it before. I just not aware. How do we feel about tonight's slate? Are we just assuming, analysis-wise, we're kind of assuming, and yes, this is the People's Show. How dare me? I never even introduced this to the show being the People's Show. You guys know this goes down. You love this so much during football season, they brought it back for baseball. That seems to be the case Tuesdays going forward. We'll see how that schedule works out. But yeah, myself, Tim, Bobby, we're here for the next hour and change till we yield to crunch time. It looks pretty dicey as far as Kansas City and Chicago. And just like Dave did, as far as his article, cheese is good. I just kind of threw that game out. We'll see. We'll adjust if that game actually plays. But Tim, I see you talking in chat as well. We're assuming that game's not going to go at this point. We don't know for certain. But that's kind of where we're at as far as analysis.
Yeah, I was considering. I wanted to take a shot on Brady Singer, but I'm not going to even bother with it. So unless we get a huge forecast upgrade.
I like Singer as well. Anybody for Chicago obviously is certainly interesting. Today is also Tournament Tuesday, which means, there it is, right on cue. Producer Devin did go ahead and drop it in the Discord channel. If you want to win yourself a week free, get yourself a week free of RotoGrinders Premium. And just so you know, it's not just for the baseball stuff. That's football, baseball, basketball, hockey, all the sports. And we're hitting the playoffs as well when it comes to hockey soon enough. We're hitting the playoffs with basketball this week, obviously. If you win this tournament, it's a $5 tournament. I assume that's what Devin typically makes. Just want to confirm. Yeah, the RG Big Baller Tuesday tournament. Oh, this is $10. This is $10 to win. $10 to enter. If you win this tournament, or if you finish like first, amongst those that are non-RG people, sometimes I'll jump in here. Sometimes Devin will jump in. Maybe you guys can jump in as well. You get yourself a week free of RotoGrinders Premium. Where do you find the link to this? You find it in the Discord, rotogrinders.com/Discord, and go into the live stream chat channel. The contest is right there, and I'm going to go ahead and join it. Sure, why not? Let's take this one down. One out of 30 chance. I figure I'm live. All right. Bobby, you want to give me the screenshot as far as the slate tonight? What are we looking at?
Yeah, for me, just thinking through stacks and stuff prior to the show. It's another night for stacks like last night. Probably Atlanta and the Dodgers are going to be the guys the bats that I have the most in terms of my pool. Up top for pitching, once again, like people obviously try to jam Glasnow last night. Dylan Cease, I think is a weaker 10-7 guy for like by far. So I don't even know where he's currently if he's currently making it into my pool versus Milwaukee team as of right now. Logan Gilbert looks like the spend. He's playing Cincinnati, although I did the deep dive and Cincinnati's bats. They do pretty well versus Gilbert's pitch mix. So I think I'm going to be kind of like at the field or probably a little above the field on Gilbert. I was with both of you. I wanted Brady Singer to go because he was by far my favorite pitcher on the slate, especially going against the White Sox who are just terrible. We can pick out like 9 guys from the YouTube chat and they could probably have the same results for Singer. Hunter Green, I wrote him up today for Seattle. Seattle was a team I was on last night, which is probably the only thing I got right on last night's slate. But as we talked pre-show, like when the cash line's 56 at 9 o'clock, everyone's pretty much dead. So didn't really matter. Like Hunter Green a good bit at 9K. He's probably the guy from 9 to 10-7 that I have the most interest in. And then Jared Jones at 8.5. I think he's obviously someone who you have to consider versus the Mets who've started out woeful. And he's one of the top prospects for Pittsburgh. So, yeah, that's pretty much the main pitching and kind of how I'm approaching the slate, I guess, as of right now. Broad overview.
Small sample stuff, but like Jared Jones has obviously been spectacular so far. 18 innings, 34.7% K rate. That is the clear and obvious biggest on the slate for this season. It's also backed up by an 18.9% swinging strike rate, which is awesome as well. You know, he had some walk issues in the minors, and he hasn't done that just yet in the majors. And I know, speaking of cheese, Dave Potts, we kind of mentioned him earlier. He was talking about he expects Jared Jones to kind of sort of be maybe somewhere around a Hunter Green, just kind of a guy that can get strikeouts, but also give up some homers as well. TJ saying in chat that Brian Hayes was scratched.
He was, yeah.
Okay. No O'Neal Cruz as well, left on left. I wonder if he'll jump back in or how that's going to work. But yeah, O'Neal Cruz, obviously a spectacular, talent, still kind of figuring stuff out. He flashes the arm, the bat, the wheels, everything. He's got the skills, but left on left, he has been horrendous so far to start his season. Yeah, we got to get an update there. And you mentioned, Bobby, talking about Atlanta. How much does Atlanta take a hit? No Albies, okay. And also no Darno. And replaced by Chadwick Trump, who's not good. So we're talking about Guillerme in the 8-hole, Trump in the 9-hole. It makes the wraparound a little bit trickier. It's cheaper, obviously, but just two guys that are getting pretty severe downgrades.
They definitely take a hit. I personally, I usually like the wraparound stack. I know for sure Dean's a big wraparound guy. So for me, it definitely hurts the Braves a lot. The Braves, just because from a salary perspective, like when you want to get to the Braves, you're usually going to the back end of this order. Travis d'Arnaud, one of my favorite players of all time for DFS. So him not being there, Michael Harris being bumped up to 2 with Albies out, I guess, yeah, it hurts the Braves a little bit. Probably have more exposure to the Dodgers now. Acuna's been struggling out the gate. I think he grades out well for me. I had a good bit of Olsen last night. Didn't do anything. Wasn't happy with that. But I still like the Braves in Houston. I think they're a very good stack. They're the Braves. Pretty much the Dodgers. If the Dodgers are 1A, the Braves are 1B, I would say. So still going to have some Braves exposure regardless.
I've talked about that several times, by the way, last night as far as the Atlanta lineup. Houston only one lefty in their bullpen. It's Josh Hader. He's pitched 2 nights in a row, and he got blown up last night. They did bring him in left on left, which kind of bumped out Kelnick and brought in Duvall. It started that rally. But pretty good chance Atlanta is going to be facing all right-handers all night long. I see in the chat people are saying Hunter Brown, bump up Hunter Brown. And, I mean, as a general rule, I don't like to pick on the Braves. And Hunter Brown, I know it's small sample stuff, but he just does not look good so far to start the season. I don't think I'm getting there. You have a thought on that?
It's DFS, right? Like he's going to be better, right? We would imagine. I know this isn't the greatest spot. He has to be better, yeah. So I don't mind trying to, if you're playing MME, getting some Hunter Brown in. If you're trying to poke holes in this Braves lineup, they just did it for you. They took out Albies, they took out Travis d'Arnaud. Maybe we get on Hunter Brown tonight a little bit. That's kind of how I'm going to approach it. And he's 6'5", so he's definitely someone you can consider at that tag, and he does have upside, even though it is the Braves with that salary.
If you told me at the start of the season, tell me nothing else, you can get Hunter Brown at 6.5K on DK, I'm in. But, he's looked kind of like a disaster. 16 ERA in 7 innings and change. The Sierra is 5.38, which is also not good. It's, he's getting hit hard. He's walking too many guys, 13% walk rate. The K's have him in there, 15.1%. Just a 5.8% swinging strike rate. Mostly ground ball stuff. His BABIP's 583. Like, that's not going to sustain, of course. That's goofy and ridiculous. His left on base is 55%. It's all small sample stuff. Like, he can't be this bad. Like, it's impossible, like, intensely be this bad, basically. But, yeah, I don't know if this is a spot where he necessarily bounces back. If you're running 150, Bobby, we running 150?
No, I'm definitely bumping Hunter Brown, though, because I want to get ahead of it. I think he's better than what the numbers say currently. And if he does turn it around, hopefully it'll be to my advantage a little bit. We have him at 5%. I just bumped him to 10. I think I'm playing like 25 teams, so we'll see.
But by the way, as suspected, O'Neal Cruz jumps into the lineups there for Pittsburgh, but he's buried in the 7-hole. The updated Pittsburgh lineup is Joe, Reynolds, Triolo, Oliveras, McCutchen, Taylor, Cruz, Davis, and Williams. It's not a great lineup. That's not spectacular, but I don't think we're rostering Quintana on the other side. Tim, what do you got as far as your screenshot? What do you want to talk about? Feel free to add it to the conversation as far as Atlanta. We'll be talking stacks more in depth later on, but just sort of the overview. Corbin taking on the Dodgers. We saw the Dodgers do their thing last night, by the way, as far as pinch hitting when they were down. They were down, I think, 6-3 or so in the 7th. They had 7, 8, 9 come up, and a righty came in, so they rolled out 3 straight lefties. It didn't work out, but that's what they will do, especially when they're down. Just understand, you're kind of signing up for that. There's this dude named Pages who may hit the Dodgers lineup that's like super, super cheap, and he might be a pinch hit risk, but whatever. He's 2K, and there's no guarantee he's going to get pinch hit for, and there's no guarantee he'll be in the lineup. We'll see. We'll kind of stay tuned for that. But, yeah, well, what do you got, Tim? What's kind of popping you? What's standing out for you as far as the slate when it comes to the overview?
Yeah, the overview for me is I'm probably going to only make one team tonight. I might make 3, but really I would have a very, very condensed pitcher pool because there are really 4 guys, and they're all tagged in lineup HQ right now, right at the top. Gilbert, Green, Jones, and Lynn. I wanted to add Singer to that, but I'm not going to due to weather. But, I mean, those 4 guys are really the guys that I think you're choosing from tonight. Like, I don't think I'm going to fool around with Kikuchi or Bybee or Quintana or Lopez against the Astros. I totally understand Bobby's point about Hunter Brown. Like, you have to be ahead of success in DFS to win a GPP. So I don't mind taking a couple shots on Hunter Brown in like a large field setting. But in terms of single entry, it's really 2 out of those 4 guys of Gilbert, Green, Jones, and Lynn. I really want to play. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be playing Lynn for 1, just because of the matchup. Same thing on FanDuel. He's 8,400 on FanDuel too, which is really nice over there. So
I think he's the cash game play on FanDuel. I didn't mean to cut you off.
He's the cash game. He's the cash game play on both sides, I think.
Yeah, but like FanDuel, like it's like you got to pick one, and you got to kind of get it right. I think he's the guy
I
in
think it's
DK
Lynn.
as well.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I was just thinking.
No,
like,
that's fine.
Yeah, just the price and how like I like Gilbert fine, but like the savings kind of opens up, the bats a little bit more for you. Are you playing cash tonight this evening? Have you figured it out just yet, or you're not sure?
On DK, I am.
Yeah, and it's two of Gilbert, Green, Lynn, and Jones. Yeah, I mean Cease doesn't make the cut. He's a little too expensive, probably.
He's just
Sears,
too expensive.
if you really do the, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too as far as Cease. I'm looking at our consensus stuff as well. Myself, Squirrel, Kirkwood, Kirk D's, Cheese is good. Consensus wise on DK, we got it Gilbert, Green, Lynn, Jones, Cease, Sears, Kikuchi, a little bit of Yarborough, a little bit of Bybee, a little bit of Quintana, and one person did rank Hunter Brown. They may pop up in chat. They pop up in chat on occasion. But yeah, I don't think it's completely bonkers. The other thing, by the way, not to kind of dig fully into Atlanta, Bobby, is we've talked about this several times about Acuna. He's still at just one barrel. He's at just one barrel this season. He hasn't hit homer just yet, and I don't want to flip out, but he's 50 batted ball events or something like that at this point. His strikeout rate is up to like 25% or so. Again, I'm not panicking. I still think Acuna is spectacular, but maybe there's something there. Maybe something's going on. He had that spring training injury, but he is stealing bases. If he gets on, he's going to go. But just one more reason, if you're considering Brown, if you want to go that route, maybe Acuna is not like in full season form. If you want to use that argument, is that? I know we've talked about that before. You still kind of think that's a thing? Did you dig in on Acuna?
I still think it's a thing. I like him today. I do think that he was getting out on his front foot a lot, and we talked about the shoulder injury prior to the season. It could have something to do with it. He started off slow last year too, I think. So I'm sure he'll turn it around. Not really worried, but he'll definitely be in the player pool. But I do think that you could bump Brown in that scenario if you think that Acuna's not right. Now Albies is out. Back into the order isn't great. So yeah, I like Brown. And someone mentioned Sears in that same price range as Brown.
Yeah.
Sears is a very fine play. Cheese wrote him up in the musings. I like Sears a good bit.
The Cardinals kind of, I don't want to say they kind of stink. But like
the Cardinals stink. Yeah, they stink.
They have these young, like Cheese talked about this, and we've been talking about this all year. Like they're veterans, their best players, their best years are behind them, right? Arenado's not going to be as good as he once was. Goldie's not going to be as good as he once was. And I'm told that Wynn's going to be good one day, and I'm told that Walker is going to be good one day, but we haven't really seen it just yet. And then there's Contreras, who's kind of in the middle, and I guess he's sort of the one guy in his quote-unquote prime. And, of course, the ballpark shift is massive as well. And I did watch that last start for Sears against Texas. He was phenomenal against Texas, I believe. I want to see like a no-hitter going through like 6 or 5. He was pitching spectacularly against John Gray, I believe. But and he's just cheap, right? He just kind of makes stuff work. Sears is in my pool. I don't know if he's on my primary team, but where is he at for you, Bobby? Because I'm pulling up the ownership stuff right now. I never like seeing Hunter Green as the most popular pitcher, and that's where we currently have him at DK. It's the old Robbie Ray rule. 34% for Hunter Green against Seattle. Lance Lynn at 33 is another guy. I do not like seeing Lance Lynn. It's being chalk. He has the fly ball tendencies, the homer tendencies, and the ballpark should protect him. The lineup he's facing should protect him to some degree, theoretically, but he still will give it up on occasion. Gilbert, 25% is another guy coming in here as far as pitchers. I had the catchers. Okay, let me just go to the pitchers only. All right. I'm doing a poor job with lineup HQ. Yeah, so 35% for Hunter Green, 33% for Lynn, 25 Gilbert, 16 for Jared Jones. Getting a lot of the dots there, a lot of love there in lineup HQ. Cease getting 16%, Quintana getting 13%. Yeah, and Brady Singer at 12, and we'll see. Stay tuned. What are you seeing there in ownership, Bobby? That's kind of like you want to be well over or well under that we have as far as the numbers right now.
Yeah, so I tagged Green, but it was mainly because I wanted to play Singer, and I just couldn't really tag him because we don't know with the weather. Currently, in terms of ownership, I'm going to be over on Jared Jones for sure, over on JP Sears, over on Hunter Brown, over on Kikuchi, and slightly over on Hunter Green, and that's pretty much my pitching pool. Probably be at the field with Logan Gilbert. I'm sure he'll make it. I haven't really decided what to do with Lance Lynn. He's playing Oakland. It's in Oakland.
Yeah.
He's showing 26% ownership. To get over the field, I'd have to play him at 52%. Do I want to do that or not? I'm not really sure. He'll be in the pool, just haven't really figured out where currently.
By the way, Yelich hit the IL for Milwaukee with his back. Has Milwaukee released the lineup today? I don't think they have, right? Unless if they have, I missed it. Let's see. Not sure.
They haven't released.
They haven't.
Yeah.
Cincinnati, we got India, Benson, and Strand.
Oops, sorry. Yeah, Frelick, Contreras, Adames, Bowers, Hoskins, Perkins, Terang, Torrio, and Ortiz.
Okay. Yeah. Jackson Churrio down. I guess the right on right stuff. They kind of move him down there. Frelick leading off. Thank you, TJ, dropping in the chat as well. We got a Cincinnati lineup. Looks pretty standard, right? India, Benson, Encarnacion, Strand, Steer, Fraley, De La Cruz, Candelario, Fairchild, and Luke Male. Who are we waiting for? Well, waiting for the Dodgers. That's coming later. Washington as well on the other side. We're expecting we get the Cubs, not just yet. Again, it's a West Coast game, no surprise. Same deal with Oakland and St. Louis. Just got Cincy, and I don't think we have Seattle. Unless we, no, I don't believe we got the Mariners just yet taking on Hunter Green. What about yourself, Tim? I know you just make one lineup, but like theoretically, hypothetically, if you were to roll out a bunch, would there be one pitcher that you'd be well over the field, one pitcher you'd be well under the field on?
I'd be well over the field on Jared Jones if he's really going to be 16% owned. I'd probably 2x that.
That's not going to stay. There's no way. There's no way.
Yeah, I mean, so even so, if you think that, I'd go even higher then in my portfolio.
Yeah, I would go higher.
Yeah, and then the other thing I'd like to say is, like, I was talking about this with Blunder earlier today on the RotoGrinders, day show there. If I'm going to be playing Hunter Green at 35% owned, I definitely want to get to some Seattle hedge stacks because Green gives up a lot of hard contacts to both sides of the plate. So if you're going to take a stand and say, I'm going to go overweight on Hunter Green, I would definitely make a couple of hedge stacks with some Mariners. Definitely. Because I don't mind the matchup for Green. I think it's a good spot, but also I know he gives up a lot of hard contact.
Yeah, the ballpark shift is great for him as well. Jumping from Cincinnati to Seattle, he tends to give up a fair bit of homers, too many homers, and the ballpark just, you just hope they just die on the warning track as opposed to going over the fence there in Cincy. Checking in on the chat, just throw out some names if you want us to talk about some pitchers. Stan wants us any interest in Lopez taking on Houston. I don't think I'm not getting there. I don't make enough lineups, but Bobby, you make a fair bit. Does Lopez crack the pool for you? Does he get to dip his toes in or no?
I don't think you have to do that on the slate. I'm not looking at Renato Lopez currently.
This is a good question. And I think this is kind of like dealer's choice to some degree, but I think everybody's just, I think there's I'll let you guys answer this and I'll give my thoughts afterwards. Brian wants to know, Tim, I'm asking you first. When do we start looking at the advanced stats from this year and move on from the stats from last year? And I think part of it is like, some players change their pitch mix. Some players were playing injured and that kind of stuff. But assuming like everything is the same and nothing has changed, they're in the same team, same teammates, same ballpark, same pitch mix. Because I like a big sample, right? I'm still looking at last year's stuff, and I'm looking to see if anything's changed. I kind of merge the two as well, but I also want to see if there's any outliers. How do you adjust? Are we at the point now where we're looking at just this year? Because I've not yet moved on from last year.
Yeah, for me personally, I'm not even close really to only looking at this year. So I usually wait till like the first week of May or maybe even the second week of May to really dig into this year's stats. It also depends on the overall pitcher's sample size, right? Like, what do you do about Jared Jones? You have to look at this year, right? So
where's minor league stuff? But yeah,
right. So But yeah, if I'm just looking at a veteran pitcher that would be a huge sample on, I don't really care what he's done this year unless he has like a massive velocity drop or something like that. I usually wait till like the second week of May, really.
Several people in chat talking about KC, and we haven't really touched on that just because we're expecting, I shouldn't say expecting, is a heightened risk of that game getting postponed. Let me see if Roth updated his article. Let's see. Yeah, still orange, red. I'll go ahead and read this for you. Tough timing for this one. This is Roth writing, obviously. As the rain and thunderstorm chances increase toward game time, there is also a chance of severe storms moving into the Chicago area this evening. We'll monitor and update this PM as the storms start to fire. Winds will be blowing in from center at close to 20 miles per hour. So that tells me that if this game goes, it's probably going to be a good pitching environment. But again, it doesn't seem like he's terribly optimistic. Roth, of course, will be on crunch time at about 50 minutes or so. He'll give you an update there. Bobby, did you have a thought on that as far as, when you sort of like trash last year's stats? I shouldn't say trash, but sort of like focus on this year as opposed to last year. How do you figure that out?
Probably the same sort of time as Tim. I'm still looking at last year, a combination of this year. I whatever plate IQ has in there, that's what I'm looking at. And it's probably till middle of May.
Yeah, well, plate IQ, you can go current season, last season, or current and last season, or
that's what I do.
Last
I do
30
current
days.
and last season. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what I focus on. And like you can sort of see what I like is for the pitchers, they do side by side. You can compare current season to last season, current season the last 30 days as we kind of dig in, as the season progresses to see if they've made any positive changes, things like that. But yeah, I like to compare current versus last, where it's pretty easy if you kind of look at the way the pitching is set up. We got some 1v1s as far as hitters we'll talk about in a second. They're talking about Tommy Henry. I think picking on Tommy Henry. Nobody's rostering Tommy Henry tonight, I don't believe. That looks like one of the more popular hitting environments tonight. Chicago taking on Arizona. What else should we note as far as pitchers, if anything else? I think we just got an update when it comes to ownership stuff. I'm giving a refresh right now. Go ahead, Bobby.
I do think we should talk about Kikuchi a little bit. He just faced the Yankees. But yeah, I feel like it's a really good spot for him. All his metrics seem to be up. He's someone that I think will go overlooked. And I really like Blue Jay stacks tonight. So, I just think I wanted to get your thought. What do you guys think on Kikuchi pretty much? Because I'm throwing him in my pool, probably going to be overweight.
I mean, he is what he is, right? He's going to probably give up a homer or two, but he's also probably not going to get completely pummeled, is sort of my take. I don't mind homer hunting against him. I don't mind stacking the Yankees locked in for 9. But what do you got, Tim, as far as Kikuchi? I certainly prefer him to Rodon, but I did bet that game over because I think it was 8.5. I bet the over on 8.5 in that game. I'm expecting some homers. Rodon's given up almost 2 homers per 9 dating back to last season. And this 80 innings, that's all we got on him. Of course, he was great, but that was several years ago. Since coming back, he's been pretty rough. Tim, your thoughts as far as Kikuchi?
Yeah, I was trying to look up what his projected ownership is going to be, and it's all blank now on HQ. So
he's not going
to be chalky. I don't hate it at all, but I think for me, it's just there's better plays that are just a little bit more expensive than him, and so or I'd rather just go down to Sears. So I don't think Kikuchi has that much of a ceiling in this matchup. That's the other problem.
He is one of the. I'm going to let you know right now. He is one of the best K props on the slate. 5.5 juice on the over -130.
Yeah.
Over.
Well, I mean, Quintana has a 5.5 juice to -115. I'm pretty sure.
Did that change when Cruz jumped in the lineup? Is that what happened?
No, it was 5.5 this morning when I was on the show with Blender. We both bet it.
Huh.
We bet the under. We bet the under.
I'll just tell you that you didn't want to see Cruz jump in there because he's got.
I know. I wanted to say something. I wanted to say something, but yeah, no, I know. I'm a little bit tilted now.
Not that Quintana's got the kind of stuff that just locks down lefties, right? That's not the kind. He's more of like a savvy veteran type, right? Just throwing in a guile at this point. But Cruz is pretty rough. versus lefties. He is buried. He's only going to see him twice, I imagine. Also, Michael A. Taylor in there is not spectacular for your cause.
If you go in a plate IQ, Taylor actually looks pretty good versus Quintana's pitch mix.
I think strikeout wise, though.
Yeah, Ke'Bryan Hayes being out. Ke'Bryan Hayes is one of the better Pittsburgh Pirates versus Quintana's pitch mix, and now he's out. Oliveira's was another one, and he's in like the 3 or 4 hole. So
I'm giving
maybe
refresh now.
look at some Quintana a little bit.
I mean, if you're just going to trust the Vegas number, and Vegas is pretty sharp, they're not perfect, and you take these sides and totals, and sometimes they're not as sharp when it comes to player props. And again, adjusting for the new lineup. So, okay, so Neil Cruz he's only striking out 31% of the time versus lefties. I thought it was greater than that. It's only 29 at bats. Is that, I guess he's probably faced a couple lefties this year. It was a small sample, and he grounded out or popped up, that kind of thing. Taylor at 33%, Triolo at 30% as well. A couple contact guys up top, but again, Quintana's not this great strikeout guy. 18% versus lefties this season. Last season, he was striking about 19% left on left, which is,
he has the pitchers up, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. There's no extremes, by the way. People love their umpire data, unless something's changed, which I don't think anything did change. I'm not sure if Lineup HQ has that right now because it's acting a little bit goofy.
There are no extremes, Dean.
I think that gives. Yeah. I think pitcher umpire still gives you a point on the scale, right?
Doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt.
I'll take it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if I have my druthers, give me the pitchers umpire. Sure, I want the extreme pitchers, but if you're just going to give me a slight pitchers, I'll take that. I'll take it. If you want like a tiebreaker, sure. Why not? Derek is asking if Knack is pitching for the Dodgers. I don't believe that is the case. What we have right now is Kyle Hurt as an opener and Yarborough as the bulk guy. I'm not sure if that has changed. The Hurt thing is new to me as of like an hour or two ago, but that's what I'm seeing. I did see last night a person named Knack was supposed to potentially pitch for the Dodgers, but I guess that has changed as well, or never was the case, and there was just somebody speculating. All right. Anything else we should mention here as far as pitchers, Tim, as we move on and talk about stacks? The people in chat, they want to ask about some 1v1s. We'll talk about that as well. Again, you got us for the next 40-ish minutes until we hand it off to Crunch Time and Kevin Roth, as well as, I believe it's Keith Eyster coming in, if I'm not mistaken. Keith and Derek Carty, creator, CEO of the Bat and the Blitz. The Bat is what we're talking about tonight, not so much the Blitz. But Tim, pitcher-wise, give me the synopsis.
Yeah, pitcher-wise, it's probably Gilbert and Lynn as your cash game pitchers, and then you can go to like Jones, Spears. I'm trying to think who else was on that list. Jones, Gilbert, Lynn, and then maybe some Spears, maybe some Hunter Brown. But definitely Lynn and Gilbert are going to be your cash game pitchers, I think, on DK.
You said you were on the show today with Blender. What else did you guys bet? Is there anything else you're on top of? I know Blender's like bets everything.
He bets like 120 props a day or something like that.
Yeah, he's a wild man. He wants like his 5 or 6% edge, and it works out for him. But I assume you don't do that. You pick your 5 or 6 or whatever.
I do not do that. No, the only one that I have right now is Quintana under 5.5, which I don't want anymore, but I'm going to roll with it.
Dean, you should get on. Dean, you should get on the Quintana one. I think just throwing it out there.
You're saying I should bet it over or bet it under? Should I be on the under? Side?
You guys can take the under, and I'll take the over.
I don't.
Don't come on the over. Whatever you do.
I don't like the changes to the lineups. The Taylor and Cruz being in there does not make me feel great about the under anymore. Not that Quintana is anybody like that's going to rack up 7 or 8 Ks necessarily, but this is the spot for him to do it. Of course, it's a good ballpark to pitch in as well. I think Quintana is should be in your pool if you're making a ton of lineups. And I forget where he was at as far as his projection for ownership. And certainly I'm sure they're working on it to get that back up here on Lineup HQ. Hopefully we'll get that shortly. Projections and everything else is there. It's just for whatever reason, the ownership stuff went away. Is he in your pool, Bobby? I'm not sure if you said, if you've changed things with Quintana.
He's in my pool now. He's in my pool now. I had to rank my pool currently. It would be Jared Jones, Hunter Green, Logan Gilbert, Lance Lynn up top. In the middle, I kind of like Kikuchi a little bit. I'm on Kikuchi. And going down low, it would be Hunter Brown and JP Sears. Quintana's like in the Kikuchi range. I don't love pitching up. I don't love Cease. I don't love Chalk Gilbert. I don't know why. I just looked at all the Reds, and they all seem to have good numbers against him. All the lefties, that is Benson, Martini, Fraley, Cruz. So I don't know.
When you say against them, you mean like as far as against his pitch mix or like BVP stuff, or what do you mean by against them?
Against his pitch mix. I care about his pitch mix.
Okay.
ISO, WOBA, etc.
Gotcha. Yeah, and if you check out the plate IQ stuff, it's all green, man. It's all green for that Cincinnati lineup, with the exception of a few spots. Luke Male, obviously kind of terrible. But otherwise, the green is popping pretty much everywhere. There are some strikeout guys in Benson and CES as well as De La Cruz, but it is kind of a tough lineup. And it does fall off at the end with Fairchild and Male. But I don't know if I love Gilbert as a chalk pitcher. I think he's fine. He's good, but not this incredible strikeout pitcher, obviously. It's been good so far this year, 30%, backed up by a pretty good swinging strike rate at 14.6%. But that is a spike from last year. The walks are awesome. He doesn't walk anybody, basically, like his teammates. Kirby, they just, for whatever reason, they don't throw balls. Those guys, 4% walk rate this season. Let's see, anything by our boy Broccoli Boy. I should say Tim's boy, Broccoli Boy. He's giving you the business in chat, Bobby. What is going on?
Tim does not want it for me in golf. I can assure you.
Is there a head-to-head golf challenge? Is that happening? Is this been talked about? I can
assure you. I guess it was. I didn't know this was a thing, but obviously Tim and Broccoli Boy have been talking about it in the shadows of Maine. They're talking about it behind the scenes.
We talked about it. We talked about it last People's Show.
Maybe I forget.
In chat. Yeah, you weren't. Is
this going to happen,
Bobby? I don't know.
Who would be the favorite?
It might.
The DK Sportsbook. Bobby, set the line. If you versus Tim. And by the way, just in the golf streets, I believe Bobby's coming off that 25K, fifth in the Million Maker. I was going to send him a text to tell him how incredible he was doing.
Tied for fourth, Dean. Tied for fourth.
I apologize. I'm sorry.
Get it right.
We'll make sure to put that in your profile right next to winning $1 million. So you're hot right now. So I don't know if you want to mess with him right now, Tim. But who's the favorite if you guys played against each other in a head-to-head golf contest?
I don't know. I have no idea.
I would honestly say, in all seriousness, probably Tim. To be honest, I don't.
What?
I've never been a head.
You guys are both backing down. What just happened?
Well, it was just the bit of it. That was it. If you wanted to give an honest answer, probably Tim. I don't play head-to-heads. Like, I haven't done that in like 6 years in any sport.
All right, well, so much for that. And TJ says, are we talking real golf or DFS golf? I think we're talking DFS golf. You're not leaving the house for this, right? I imagine.
Yeah, real golf, I win.
Oh.
Yeah, Tim probably wins.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I do want to mention, by the way, I did say there's a way you can get yourself a week free of RG Premium. How would you go about doing that? You jump into the Discord channel, rotogrinders.com/Discord. Live stream chat channel has the contest, $10 contest to join. It's a standard contest. It's a standard $10 contest, by the way. It's not like we're like taking $10 and we're using that for premium. No, just the premiums is an added value. And the other added value you can't put any price on is if you win this contest, not only do you get a week free of RG Premium, all the tools, all the bells, all the whistles, Plate IQ, Cheese's article, all the sports, football, baseball, basketball, hockey, MMA, anything you can think of with the exception of NASCAR. You also get a shout out on this show, which again, cannot put a price on that. If you do not happen to win that contest, there's never been a better time to actually sign up for RotoGrinders Premium with NBA, PGA, NHL, MMA, and Major League Baseball 6-month combo sub exclusive price $469.99. That is a savings of $250. And if you're going to go ahead and buy a la carte every single month, just commit to 6 months. You save $250. And I also wanted to mention that 3-day pass is $19.99. Check out the links in the description for more information. You can also get your first month of RG Premium, $40 off for a limited time. All that. Check those links in chat. Okay. Is it time to bring up our board? Is it time to bring up the board as far as stacks? I think it's time, Tim. The people were asking, what is today's category? And Tim, you took the reins in this one. This is why we were kind of beating you up a little bit pre-show. But tell us the category and why you chose the category, and give us our 1 through 5 as far as your rankings for movies. 5, the one up to all the way up top was obviously the best in the category, and the one at the bottom is the worst. Let the people know, Tim. What did you go with?
So we debated a couple different ideas, but we went with favorite mafia movies of all time.
To be fair, I just want to throw it out there. I didn't debate anything. I wasn't a part of this.
I didn't debate either.
You were in the secret chat. So are you, Dean. We've been talking about this for like 20 hours straight.
I said I have some opinions
I
on
didn't
your
make
choices.
one comment on
I will
this.
save it
I
for the
didn't make
show.
one
I don't
comment
necessarily
on
agree with you.
Godfather Part 2 is definitely number 1 in my opinion. Just throwing it out there.
Well, we're pretty close then.
Yeah.
Yeah, if that's your biggest umbrage, Bobby. Like, he's got Godfather 2.
Well, he has no Goodfellas on there, which is definitely supposed to be on. He's the Irishman. Who's even seen that?
Bobby, do you know how this works? The Irishman is in the spot where like the worst teams are. So you're saying it's the worst mafia movie.
Okay. No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not like my 5 favorite movies are 1 through 3, 4, 5, because you're disrespecting the team in the 5 spot, if that makes sense.
Right.
Like
Okay,
the
Tim
3
wins.
is kind of mid. Yeah, but like I agree. Like there's only so many spots available, so it's just easy to make fun of him for leaving off Goodfellas. Goodfellas is spectacular, of course. But yeah, Tim, run it off your top 5 for the people. We'll go by as far as the stacks as well.
Run off the top 5 movies?
Yeah, well, justify your, tell the people they're looking at the.
Well, I mean,
right
I
now.
think I just love Godfather 1 and Godfather 2, and I'm just so disgusted at Godfather 3, but that's a different conversation. But yeah, those are my 2 favorite movies, like overall. And then I also, I love Casino. And then there's a big drop after those 3, in my opinion. Like Scarface is decent, but I don't really like it that much. And then I thought The Irishman was pretty awful. So, and it was like 3.5 hours long of awful. So definitely not a fan of The Irishman.
People in chat are chiming in. No Scarface. Well, no, Scarface is in the 4 spots. Little disrespect to Scarface. Couldn't get in Carlitos' way. Where's a Bronx Tale? Yeah, Shoei, that could have been considered. True North is saying, why isn't American Gangster number 5? Because I guess he didn't like. I think American Gangster was solid. It was fine. I wouldn't say it was a bad movie, What else? Donnie Brasco could have, again, you can only rank so many. The Departed, The Town, right? There's a whole bunch. I was saying that. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I didn't mean to cut you off. Oh wait,
You're
maybe
fine.
I did. I do it all the time. Casino and Goodfellas are like the same movie. Does anyone else have that take? Like, I feel like Casino.
I agree with that.
When it gets to like his wife going like deranged, I stop watching. Goodfellas, when it gets that like helicopter scene, I just stop watching because from then on they're like, I don't know, I just don't like the downswing in the movie,
My Blue Heaven getting thrown out in chat, which is hilarious. So I thought 5 should have been Corky Romano, which is it's technically a mafia movie. The John Travolta Gotti movie is horrific. It's really, really bad. I don't know if you guys I'm not recommending that, but if you want to like have a miserable evening, fire up Gotti. Have you seen Gotti, Bobby? No, maybe. Don't.
No, I remember. I'm from like an Italian neighborhood, so like when this stuff happens, it's like a bit contrarian take. I don't really like mafia movies. I will say, so when that movie Gotti came out, everyone pretty much went to like see it. It was like a big deal, and I just totally passed because I have zero interest.
Do you remember if they liked it or not?
What?
Do you remember if they liked it or not? Because it was universally panned, I'm pretty sure.
I'm sure they didn't like it, but who knows? Maybe they did. I don't know. Yeah.
I'm pulling up the Rotten Tomatoes now. I'm just kind of curious. So 58 reviewers, 58 experts gave it a score. Like, Rotten Tomatoes basically got thumb up, thumb down. 44% from the public, which by the way is egregious. 0%. 0%. 0 out of 58. Official reviewers, whatever you want to call it, critics, gave Gotti a thumb up for the record. But all right. Any other thoughts? By all means, chime in there and chat what we left out, what is too high, what is too low. But we also want to talk about these teams. Now, you submitted this about an hour or so ago. Maybe we can kind of like pick this apart as well. Tim, you got two teams in the upper tier. That's the Dodgers and the Braves. You still sticking with the Braves despite losing Albies and Darno? I'm not sure if you ranked that before or after that news came out.
No,
so
I still they're gotta be, one or two. So I left them at one.
Your thoughts, Bobby, as far as the tiers tonight? Would you agree? Dodgers, Braves,
I would replace
the
Braves with the Blue Jays, in my opinion. I think the Blue Jays grade out very well.
It's a big jump.
Turner, Schneider, Vlad, Danny Jansen, my second favorite DFS play of all time. He might be my first over D'Arnaud.
You like catchers. Sure. Darno and Jansen are your two favorite players. They're both like mid catchers.
He's back tonight. He's making his season debut. I thought they got rid of him. I was looking for him for weeks. Couldn't find him. Bichette and Springer, these guys all grade out very well versus Rodon. They're patient. You work a couple walks. Someone hits a dinger. It's a grand slam. I don't know. I really like the Blue Jays a good bit.
Have you heard the Blue Jays are gutless though? You probably heard that once or twice, right?
They are gutless.
Tonight,
but we'll get the qualifier when TJ comes on, or if he's in chat, if he likes them tonight. Usually the hometown guys have a feel about their team. So if TJ says the Blue Jays are okay tonight, that would be my qualifier to definitely put them in the one spot.
So Rodon is facing a slew of righties. I think it's all righties with the exception of Varsho in the 9-hole, but 8 righties in a row. You have last year's data and this year's data combined versus right-handers, a 228 ISO, a 367 WOBA. That's too high. Hard hits at 50% as well. Too many fly balls. I definitely side with the Toronto side over the Rodon side. I don't know if I would have moved them all the way up to the Godfather tier. I might put them at Godfather 2. I think they shouldn't be at the 3 spot. I do agree that they're probably right there with Houston, Arizona, San Diego for me. But that's fair. Tim, Houston, Arizona, San Diego. Talk about your second tier, the Godfather 2 tier, which some think should be the Godfather 1 tier, but that's a different conversation.
Yeah, I mean, and they might be the top tier tonight also. Like I really like Houston tonight, going up against a Ronaldo Lopez. I think Arizona I might add them to the top actually. I think they're a really good spot. And then San Diego, I was talking to Blunder about this quite a bit. Like Wade Miley always seems to escape, these really, really great matchups. But like San Diego's priced pretty low. And I think that it's going to be a really, really tough matchup for Wade Miley. So they're also simming really well. The Padres are. So I really do like Padres and Arizona might actually be higher up than Atlanta, in my opinion. I'm kind of flip-flopping, but them being 1 or 2.
All right. Maybe producer Steve can kind of move us around for us as we kind of talk through the conversation. Bobby, where are you at as far as the Godfather 2 tier, Houston, Arizona, San Diego?
For me, Houston's fine in there. Arizona's the one that I do have question marks on. I don't know, Carroll and Gurriel, I think, are very strong plays. I like Marte and Walker too, but I don't love them. And then San Diego, I would just bump San Diego down. But if Tim's saying they're simming well, they're fine. Yeah, I don't know. But for me, my Godfather 2 is Houston and I don't know, Arizona. I would bump San Diego down, but I haven't run the sim, so I don't know. Machado and Tatis were the only two guys that really graded out well for me from San Diego.
So where are you putting San Diego? Steve's on top of it. You want it in Godfather 2 or you want it in Casino?
Casino. Put them in Casino.
By the way, Oakland released their lineup, and we've talked about the three of us have had this conversation off air before. Asturi Ruiz came back last night. I believe it was a pinch hit homer in his first at bat. He's not in the Oakland lineup. Like, what is Oakland doing? Toro,
down. He was hitting 420 in the spring or something ridiculous, and I told you this, and he said, "No, he stinks." And he's not bad.
He's not a great hitter. He's a good fantasy player because he steals bases, but he's not like this great hitter.
We were playing at the middle of the summer last year. Ruiz was like the best cash game play you could play because he was every time he got on, he was stealing 2 bags. I just don't understand. Was it a disciplinary thing? Is that why they sent him down? They're terrible. Like, just give this guy.
It's a bad organization, and they make poor choices, and I don't know. But it's weird to me that he's not starting today. And, like, it's not like they're starting good players in front of him is the weird thing. Toro, Geloff, Lede, Brown, Nevin, Butler, McCann, Hernandez, and Noda for Oakland. Also, Langolier is not playing as well, too, so I think this is advantage Lance Lynn. I think it makes Lance Lynn a little bit better. This Oakland lineup, we knew would be bad, but it feels like it's a little bit worse than it should be. Yeah. How do we feel about chalk Lance Lynn, boys? I think we kind of like it, which is an uncomfortable thing to say. I think we kind of like it
more now.
I like it.
Yeah.
I think Lede and Geloff, or however you say his name, are like the only guys he has to really worry about in that lineup.
The Cardinals are playing both their catchers. I thought they might. And that also probably speaks to how bad the rest of their lineup is. St. Louis has Donovan, Goldie, Contreras, Arenado. Herrera is DHing. Nootbaar is in the 6-hole. Wynn, Walker. Man, that speaks to how bad Walker has been. Walker in the 8-hole. And Ciani, who's like, I remember these guys like Bunt Swarm or something. They don't really like him. He's not much of a hitter from what I've seen. Again, I think you can play. I think you just play both pitchers in that game and just get like, a 2-1 game or something like that. I don't hate the idea of doing that. Any more lineups coming out? I know we got some basketball information creeping on through. I think we got an update from Roth. Yeah, so Chicago's orange now, so it's an upgrade. It's no longer orange-red or red-orange, whatever it was. So a little bit more optimistic. We'll have to see what Roth has to say when he comes out in about 20 minutes or so, but maybe this game actually plays.
I love Singer. I wish he didn't upgrade it, so I didn't have to think about it, because I would like to get a lot of Brady Singer in this scenario.
I agree.
Like the White Sox are terrible. Tim said it on the show last night. Like, we should just be playing the pitcher every night.
Yeah.
Versus this White Sox team. There's really no one.
It's an awful Grossman, Benintendi. So they got Eloy back. Eloy Jimenez is back for what it's worth. So there's a real live like Major League Baseball player in their lineup. Gavin Sheets is DHing he's batting 4th. DeYoung, Fletcher, Shoemake, Lopez, and Maldonado are just terrible. I want to see anything interesting as far as weather edge, because the way that wind is blowing in. Yeah, that's interesting. It's a small sample, just 18 games, but slight upgrade to homers and slight upgrade to runs. But again, that's what 17 mile per hour winds blowing in at 70 miles per hour. 70 mile per hour temperature, 70 degrees, 17 mile per hour winds coming in.
I really want to argue the sample size argument with Roth about weather edge.
You think 17 games is enough? I don't think it is.
Good hitting weather and good pitching weather is good hitting weather and good pitching weather. There's really nothing to it.
But the point is that this doesn't seem like good hitting weather, and the hitting's been slightly better. That's because it's a small sample.
Yeah. 17 games is enough. Bump the bats a little bit.
I think he just changed your argument in the middle of that point, but we'll let that slide.
Yeah. I think you're right. You got me. That's what you can do if you're a tout, right? Like, that's typical tout out.
I mean, you got to move those goalposts. I respect it. Tip of the cap.
Over the weekend, the Orioles were in Milwaukee. It was like 233 bump to home runs, one game. And I was like, this is good hitting weather. Like, I'm playing Ryan O'Hearn, and no one wanted to play them. And I played Ryan O'Hearn, and he hit a home run in a second at bat. One game. Good hitting weather is good hitting weather. If you ever picked up a bat, stood in a batter's box, good hitting weather is good hitting weather. Same thing with if you hit a pitcher better than you hit other pitchers, Dean?
I hear you. Let's talk about the mid-tier here. Let's talk about Casino, Tim. You got a pretty big mid-tier. Chicago, St. Louis, KC. Like, you didn't know where to put KC. I get it. San Diego, the Yankees, Cleveland, Toronto, Seattle, Pittsburgh. I think I would bump up Chicago.
I
like
would
the
too.
Cubbies.
I was just gonna say that exact thing. I'd
Okay.
bump up Chicago to number 2. And then I had the Padres at number 2 also, but you guys brought them down, which is completely fine. That's fine.
It's democracy. You got outvoted.
Yeah. I would move the Pirates down to Scarface, actually. And then the Mariners, for me, they're just leverage, right? Because Green's going to be popular. I don't love the Mariners, but I don't hate them either. Because Green's going to be so popular and because he gives up fly balls, home runs, hard hits, and they're going to be low owned. So I think we have to have some interest in Seattle for GPPs. That's why I ranked them number 3. KC. I'd almost want to move them up too if that game plays. I don't know. That's tough for me.
Being told Candelaria was scratched, by the way. Just a heads up for Cincinnati. I guess we'll get a new lineup soon enough. Kind of hours out on that one. Bobby, your thoughts as far as the mid-tier, any sort of drastic changes for you? I agree that the thought process on Seattle, it's a good spot to put them because
can I bring down St. Louis too? I'm going to bring down St. Louis.
Bobby,
I wasn't muted on purpose. My kid's in the room, and he's going. I don't know. He's
no worries. Do you need a second, or are you good to go?
No, I can go. So yeah, basically, I like if I had to bump anyone on that list in the mid tier, it would likely be. 1 second, looking quickly here. I'd say the Yankees, and then I'd say.
Show us a proof of life, Bobby. Let's show off your child if you don't have to.
No, my girlfriend just grabbed him out of the room. He was like, he's hitting everything. That's why I was trying to. I'd say the Yankees. The mid tier. You guys have the Blue Jays. I have the Blue Jays at like Godfather 1. I don't know. I think the Pirates were fine, like in casino range. But now you're taking Hayes out, so I think that hurts them a little bit. KC, San Diego. I think the Mariners are good leverage, like Tim said. Nothing really standing out for me down here. Cincinnati is the team that I would have up near Godfather for me. I like Cincinnati a ton tonight. They're the team. You have them Irishmen ranked. Like I said, I like Benson, Martini, Fraley, Ellie. I think they're all good leverage. So I like the Cincinnati lefties for sure.
Don Yeezy wants us to bump up the Brewers to at least casino. I'm not really with the Brewers tonight. Whatever. If they beat me, so be it. Somebody asked, somebody says, what is the Irishman? And then somebody responds, 3 hours of trash.
Exactly.
I thought that was Tim's burner, but
thank you.
The Irishman's
it was.
You get a credit for. Come on,
you
man.
Caught me.
It's the anti-Shawshank.
It's because you saw it at home on Netflix and you paused 19 times and you're staring at your phone and you didn't get the movie theater experience. That's the reason why.
That's no.
I think that's the
not true.
Did he? I know you got neither of you have seen Dune 2 yet. I know that's all. We're just talking.
No, that's not really up my alley. I haven't seen either Dune, but I know you're a fan of it, right?
It's very, very good. Very good. The first one was terrible. Couldn't get through it, but saw it the other night. It's fantastic.
So you went back. You said, I'll give the second one a shot. All right, fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. I see TJ doing his rankings in chat. One of these days we'll get TJ on the Grinders live show. And I would imagine he'll do something, not to tell him what he would do, but
TJ doesn't like Toronto. It makes me upset that he doesn't like Toronto.
He's got him 6. That's not disliking them. That's not terrible. 6 is fine.
Toronto's a really good stack tonight. Just saying.
Dude in chat says Dune 2 was so boring, walked out halfway through. And TJ is saying he likes Toronto.
Really good. I thought it was really good.
The back half it really picked up, apparently. Yeah. I don't know. All right. As far as, did you see anything here, Bobby, as far as the Scarface territory, the Irishman territory that you would elevate up? I guess you talk about Cincinnati. You thought Cincinnati was somebody that's worth bringing all the way up for tournaments, for tournament leverage. Anybody else there? Any teams are just kind of Xing out there? I did think it was interesting that we're neglecting a game in Fenway, which is, I understand why we are kind of sort of, right? Cleveland looks a little bit better than Boston, but we're just kind of crossing Boston out. There's no Tyler O'Neill, right? He's dealing with a concussion syndrome. That lineup is really rough, man. It's just not good. It's hard to get excited. But what do you got, Bobby?
So I am struggling with ranking them because I have crossed the majority of these stacks out. Like currently I have the Yankees, Toronto, Atlanta, Houston, Cincinnati, and the Dodgers as the stacks I would play. I think that Seattle is interesting. As a leverage stack, they're hitting SimLabs pretty hard currently. The Cubs are fine. Like the Cubs a good bit. I think Bellinger on lefties are in a really good matchup. And then Morel and Cooper grade out pretty well for me. Yeah, I don't know. There's not I liked Pittsburgh, but you're taking Hayes out. I liked Hayes a good bit. Now I think I want to be more on the Quintana side and just get the pitching. In that game, like Jared Jones and Quintana. I don't really have much from the lower end for stacks. Tristan Cassis, I wrote up today to hit a home run, but I don't love the Red Sox either. Devers and Cassis, they're fine secondary stacks. There's nothing I really like too much in this lower range. For the A's, like Blade and Geloff, who I said I liked earlier in the show. Those are guys that grade out if you want to play those guys, but I don't know. I don't know. I just don't. There isn't much for me that I'm playing in the lower end, so it's tough to give analysis. Definitely not playing the White Sox. They're horrendous.
Let us know in chat the most egregious thing you see on as far as these tiers and any hot takes you have. We did just get the Dodgers lineup, a little bit different. Betts, Ohtani, Freeman, Hernandez batting cleanup. Teoscar, that is. Kike Enrique Hernandez batting fifth. Chris Taylor. We did get 2K Andy Pages in the 7-hole. Rojas and Barnes. Barnes is in there. No Will Smith. I'm pretty sure Austin Barnes has BVP. Because I was looking earlier, and Freddie Freeman's got terrible BVP versus Patrick Corbin. Not saying you can't play him, but if you got to be consistent. Yeah, Austin Barnes has 12 at bats versus Corbin, 4 hits, 2 singles, and 2 homers. I did notice that earlier in the day. I don't know if Dave Roberts cares about such things or just Will Smith needed a day off. Miguel Rojas also historically in a pretty big sample, not a power guy, has 3 homers and 37 at bats, 15 hits. 703 slug, 405 batting average. Again, that's not necessarily advice, but if you're into such things, Rojas has seen Corbin really, really well. What are we doing with this Pages character? A lot of power in the minors. Let's see, in 2021, A-ball, 31 homers, 2022, 26 homers, AA. In 2023, looks like he was hurt or didn't play a lot. This season's got 5 homers in the minors in AAA with 2 stolen bases, just 15 games. A little bit of speed, a fair bit of power. What is his grade? 45-50 power, 40-40 speed. Is that something we're playing in our cash games, Tim? I think we're playing him in cash on DK. I think so, but I have not yet built such lineups. You have a thought here as far as the Dodgers and Pages in general?
Yeah, right now, I'm gonna have him in my cash game lineup. I'm just gonna see what his pinch hit risk is, but min price batting 7th for the Dodgers. Sure, yeah, definitely cash game viable for sure. Makes it a lot easier. Going Gilbert and Lynn too, a lot easier.
Looks like Santiago Espinal is now jumping into the Cincinnati lineup. Not much of a bat. He's going to be taking the spot of Candelario. I saw somebody in chat asking about the ownership stuff. I meant to say it. Give it a refresh on Lineup HQ. The ownership is back. Let's see. Our last update is 555 on the East Coast. Any big drastic changes? 34% for Green still. Lynn at 34%. Gilbert 26. Jones 17. I feel like that crept up a little bit. C16. Horner. Jensen's going to be really popular in cash games. Now that Will Smith is gone. I don't know if you built your cash game lineup, Tim. You're kind of you have a shell lineup. It's probably Jensen, right? In his first game back, raking versus lefties, good spot to land in, and he's pretty cheap. Catcher wise, is that your catcher you're sitting with right now, or you're not sure?
Yeah, probably going Jansen. That definitely now with Will Smith not in the lineup, so probably is going to be Jansen.
Yeah. Let's see. A Teeth Mail, he says Carty come from my BBP call. I didn't have a BB call. It's just like kind of throwing the information out there for the people. I'll tell you if you give the people one of the Dean's dongs. My favorite play today, tournament wise, left on left, is I talk about those Cubbies, Tim, and let's hit that like button so we can get the people some taters. And Bobby, have we settled on does Bobby have an official graphic now? I'm not really sure, but we want some homers from Bobby as well.
You're going to steal mine right now.
Well, if you were in the Discord earlier today, I was talking about my favorite tournament play. I see Alex hanging out in chat, but he's hanging out in the Discord a fair bit, does a lot of content. Also, by the way, spoiler, it appears, I was looking at the schedule, myself, Alex, and Blender will be doing a show tomorrow, depending on how the slate works, which games they count, which games they don't. We're probably going to be on around 11:30. That's why you hit the subscribe button so you know we're going live, but I'm excited about that. A lot of day baseball tomorrow. I don't know if there's going to be much night baseball, but I did say the main show is during the day. But, Bobby, my favorite play, left on left. Am I stealing your guy? Left on left?
You can go ahead. You're going to say Bellinger, correct?
Yeah. How did you – for real? Is that your favorite play too?
No, he was one of them, but my favorite would be Teoscar if I had to give one, but I feel like that was chalky. So
yeah, I like Teoscar too, but I think Bellinger's. People like to avoid the left on left stuff, but Tommy Henry, reverse splitsy left on left. If you look at, let's see, we combine this year and last year, 15.7% lefties he's striking out. That's worse than his total of 17.6%. A 208 ISO to lefties as well. Bellinger can smash, we get a hold of it. Bellinger smashes lefties as well. I think Alex was talking about Oakland, talking about picking on Lance Lynn, and Zach Geloff for sure is an interesting leverage play that's not going to get rostered at all. And he's got some power too. He's a sneaky good player, just stuck on the wrong team. So my first Dean Dong is Cody Bellinger. I think he's my favorite tournament play on the slate. That's one of the reasons why I like the Cubbies. I like that game altogether. We haven't really talked a ton about Arizona, but Kyle Hendricks, he doesn't really have it much anymore either. Let's see.
He's tough. He's always been tough to stack against Hendricks.
We got a tater. Tim.
Yeah, I did Kyle Tucker plus 400. That's one tater.
How do we feel about Houston in general?
I'm looking at some. I like them quite a bit, but I don't know if you can full stack them. But, getting some one-offs, I think is a good idea.
All right. What else is going on in chat? Michael A. Tater, trying to see who else is being thrown out here in the chat. Blake Perkins as the low-owned bomb. There's some ambition there. I appreciate the ambition. Seth Brown is an all-star, according to Derek. That's because
I got another one. I got another tater. Corbin Carroll plus 500.
It's a pretty good number. Has he kind of lost his power a little bit this year? I know he was dealing with that shoulder. That's my only concern. I meant to kind of dive in and look at him. Is he hitting the ball hard? I love the speed there, obviously, as well. But
I'm looking at some stuff on Baseball Savant real quick, but I think I am going to bet Carroll and Tucker to hit a home run.
Yeah, so Corbin Carroll, I thought I saw something on this. His average exit velocity, he's in the 3rd percentile. That's, again, I'm not saying you should panic. He's got 4 barrels and 15 batted ball events, but his average exit velocity is 82.6%, which is dangerously low. I don't know what that means anything just yet. Hard hit percent is 5. He's in the 5th percentile, which again is terrible. I don't know if this is related to his. I think it was the shoulder, and a lot of times that can hurt power going forward. By the way, no Muncy as well in the Dodger lineup. I was looking at that lineup. I thought there's something else that was goofy. So just be aware if the situation calls for it. They got Muncy. They have Will Smith. Trying to think who else they have on the bench there as far as pinch hits. Pinch hits will be abound if it's necessary. Like we saw last night when they were down 3 late. They ran out 3 pinch hitters in a row. You have a take on Carroll, Bobby, or just Arizona in general?
Like I said, I don't think that stacking against Hendricks has traditionally been a thing, but he's also getting up there. So if you want to stack Arizona, I know Tim likes Arizona, Carroll, Marte, Gurriel, Walker. Like, we know who the guys are. In terms of he'd probably be my favorite Diamondback, but that's it. I'm playing them, but I'm not. It's probably just going to be as a secondary.
Mabs wants to know if it makes sense to fade Pages in Dodger stacks and single entry. I got a feeling he's going to be pretty popular, but I don't think you have to go out of your way to not play him in stacks. He kind of helps you get the rest of the stack. Tim, you got a take on that?
Well, I didn't hear the question. Sorry.
Playing Pages in Dodger stacks. Do you feel like you have to go out of your way to not play him? Okay, yeah, I think it's fine, right? It's basically
you can totally play him. Yeah, totally play him.
He's 2K, right? Like, he's 2K.
Yeah, he's 2K.
Yeah.
And again, there's a pinch hit risk. He might only get 2 or 3 at bats, but whatever. He's 2K. Maybe Carty can speak to that. I know he's coming on shortly. I've not looked at what his specific pinch hit risk is, but again, with Muncy out there, with Will Smith out there, pretty high. But then, like, if they're up, 8-2 in the 4th inning, they probably let him stick around just because. I would imagine so. And a lot of it's just sort of case by case and things you really can't predict a certain predicament. Eric wants to know thoughts on the Mets and Yanks, the New York stacks. I guess there's some leverage in playing the Mets, and the rookie here has been spectacular for Pittsburgh, but I guess he's supposed to falter at some point. I know he came in with the pedigree spectacular, supposed to be walking more guys. Jared Jones, that is, he's striking out a ton. I'm not really on the Mets. They're fine, but I have to make at least 30 or 40 lineups till I get to them, I think. You got a take on that, Tim?
I've got no interest in the Mets. You can always roster the power bats for the Yankees, but that's it for me. No Mets.
Is that the Big T hanging out in chat? What up, Big T? He says Dino has a 2K guy in the best spot of the night. Not going to get pinch hit for either. Well, that's a bull. Now, is he talking about Pages, or is there a super sneaky 2K player I'm not thinking of? How does he know for certain? Does he got the almanac? Does he have the magic 8 ball? How does he know this? That he's not going to get pinch hit for. That is the Big T, right? We can confirm. I believe
that's
so.
Big T. Yeah, that's Big T for sure. That's Big T.
All right. So he's talking about Pages, right? I imagine so. Yes.
Yeah, he's 2K. You play him. Why wouldn't you? Why would you not play him? Doesn't make any sense.
Well, because everybody else is playing him, I guess, is the thought process. But
yeah, but everyone's playing him to get to the higher end Dodgers. That's why they're playing him.
Yeah. Is there anybody you're going to be with? Is that your favorite cheapie, Bobby? Like, you have like a pivot cheapie, or like somebody that's not Pages?
No,
that
it's
you're going to have a ton
Pages. It's 2K. It's Pages.
Yeah.
He's 2K. He's 2K.
Is that Mariner still 2K? I guess we're not necessarily going to rock the speedster.
Or whatever his name was from last night.
No.
He got 5. Yeah. I don't know. Is he in the lineup?
You're talking about Clase? Yeah. Clase looks like he's in the lineup against Hunter Green. Is he still 2K, though? I didn't check because I just really wasn't thinking a ton about the Mariners. He is still 2K, it looks like, for what it's worth. Alex is talking about Lawrence Butler, who's 2-1. Okay. Yeah. Other cheapies that are worth a look. We're still waiting for a Cubs lineup, right? Unless I missed it. Did Chicago lineup come out? Maybe it stuck past.
I haven't seen it.
We got the Mariners. Yeah, Mariners is Crawford, J-Rod, Polanco, Haneker, Raleigh, Garver, Raleigh, Clase, and Rojas. No Cubbies, no Washington. We got everything else. Let's see. We didn't talk about Mookie Betts, but he's spectacular. He's if salary is not a thing, if ownership's not a thing, I think he's the best play on the slate. Is that fair to say, Tim? If you're spending up for one stud in your cash games, is that the one stud you want?
Yeah, I think that's correct.
Who's the bold fade you got tonight, Bobby? The one, for whatever reason, like, it looks good on paper, it's going to be heavily owned, and you're not going to have nearly as much as the field that you're a little bit concerned that might kind of burn you.
Yeah, I'm going to have him, but definitely going to be at the field or slightly under, and that's Logan Gilbert.
taking another peek here as far as Ross weather report. Yeah, he's got orange for Kansas City and Chicago. He'll be on here in just a few minutes, and I assume he'll have somewhat of an update here. But we are in a little bit of a limbo there because we talked about how much we like Singer. 7:40 Eastern time start. So I'd imagine that maybe we can bring Roth on. I know Carty's going to be on in a minute. Carty, he takes an extra minute or so. We can bring Roth on and talk a little bit about weather. That'd be great.
Carty's doing his hair.
Yeah, it works. Whatever he's doing, it's Perk Plus. I don't know what kind of magic he has going on in that hair, but
he's definitely conditioned.
You think he's conditioning right now? You think he's doing that? He's probably already conditioned. You think he's in mid condition currently? I hope not, because he probably won't be jumping on for like 5 minutes or so. But we should be seeing Carty shortly, as well as Keith. But Derek is speculating it's Vidal Sassoon. Ken wants to know Morel versus Harris, FanDuel cash. I like both those guys, man. Morel versus Harris.
Really good.
Tim, you're the cash guy. Who do you got?
It's probably Harris, but they're both really good.
Yeah, I don't want to answer that question. Nolan Arenado birthday narrative. That just means he's older. How old is Arenado now? Like 34?
He's like my age, 35.
We're all getting older, obviously, but I think it feels like let's see he's just 33. Okay, but still.
Oh, wow.
I believe Carty was ahead of that one. Carty was talking about Arenado being not as good as people suspecting, and people gave him the business for that. So maybe Carty's here, and maybe Carty can take a victory lap on Arenado. Let's go ahead and check it out. Let's listen to let's bring it to crunch time. Derek Carty, Nolan Arenado, victory lap. He kind of stinks now, right?
It's a little early to victory lap. I mean, we're in the middle of April, but yeah, I mean, I certainly like to see him struggle because I know the bat has not been a
fan. Roth, I got the bad news that you're going to be off the grid for the next week or so. You're leaving us in good hands, though. Is that correct?
Yeah, I've got kind of a guy with my background, TV meteorologist, smart guy, and a huge sports fan, and a DFS player at that. And he's going to be filling in for me. So should go off mostly without a hitch, I think.
Now, you didn't say the name. And is that to protect, for whatever reason, the name's not out there? It's a Kirkwood secretly, and we don't want to give Kirkwood any credit?
The purveyor of the dew point model, Kirkwood. No, it's because he's still in TV. He's not really allowed to do it. So he's just going to do it kind of behind the scenes without the name. He's going to do all the work, but without the face and the credit for it.
All right. Well, Roth, we look forward. You have to, you're only as good as your last forecast, Roth, and we couldn't have a clean day before you step aside, before you take you leave us for a week. I saw you upgraded. I know upgrade's a weird way to say upgrading to orange, but you upgraded to orange as far as Chicago and Kansas City. We'll get some thoughts on that. But before that, we should probably just step aside and get out of here and make way. Myself and Tim and Bobby, let's let crunch time do its thing. You got Derek Carty, you got Keith Eyster, and you got Roth with a very, very important forecast. No pressure. Kansas City at Chicago. Roth, take it away.
Good stuff, as always. Welcome to it, ladies and gents. You know the drill. It's crunch time. Two of the sharpest minds in the biz. We got Derek Carty. Before the show, they were discussing your shampoo choice. Are you still doing the custom shampoo? Is what I want to know. Is that still happening?
Oh, that's still happening. Of course, you got to customize shampoo to your hair needs.
It's so funny. It's like it's a bit, but it's real. It's amazing. Honestly, that's one of my favorite, most on-brand things ever. How are you, man? How's life?
Life is good. Life is good. We got I think a fun slate tonight. It's been a good start to the season so far. So yeah, everything's good.
Very good. And then we got Keith Eyster, the Iceman, coming in with Eyster's Flysters as well. What's up, Ice? How are you?
Doing well. Fun little slate here ahead of us. I think we got some really good pitching and some offenses in great spots. So good all-around slate, ready to dive in.
Okay, very good. I do want to talk a weather update. Dean was like, I've got a very important update, and I changed things. I have not done the weather today. Now, I've been looking, but today's weather is brought to you by the secret meteorologist who's going to be doing it for the next week. We just figured give him a day while I'm here to make sure it's all going well. His forecast is spot on. I agree with it. We've got it in orange right now. There's a line of rain that's moving through now. it might cause a late start, but more so it kind of clears out around first pitch. But maybe an hour and a half into that, you get another batch, and that batch could be long lasting. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't like Dean saying like, you gotta nail your last forecast. I have no idea what they're going to do. I could see them postpone it. If they try to play, I think they'll get a solid half a game in. After that, I don't know. Maybe it's a long delay and then they finish up, or maybe they just only get half a game in. If you made me guess what happens, they play, they get 5 innings in, they delay for 2.5 hours, and then they eventually finish up the game in the middle of the night. That's my best guess. It's not a very strong take. I don't know that that's what's going to happen whatsoever, but that's my best guess. And I would not be the least bit surprised if 10 seconds from now, we get a message that says the game's been postponed. Like, that's very much so still on the table. So I'm hoping this is one of those games where we can all just kind of be like, well, we didn't really need it anyways. We got a ton of games, but maybe we do. Keith gave me a look when I said that, like, no, man, I'm playing. I need it. Ice, what do we want in this game?
I'm really interested in Brady Singer, and it's just because this White Sox offense is just atrocious. There's no other weather concerns on the entire slate, though. Yeah. So it's a really high-risk spot and probably something that we don't really need today. If you were giving me 6 innings out of Brady Singer, I might still take the risk. But because of the nature of the slate, there's lots of other good pitching. I love the spot for Brady Singer, but I probably will avoid it today.
Yeah, and to be clear, like 6 innings is a very possible outcome. Like, I don't think that's crazy whatsoever. If you're in a GPP and maybe you're playing 10 lineups, 20 lineups, even 3 lineups, if you want to get a little bit of that, go for it. I'm cool with it. But I would not play it in cash. I would not put all my eggs in that basket. But especially if you think it might come in at lower ownership and he's in a good spot and it's pitcher, so if we can get 5 or 6 innings before that second batch moves in, maybe that's all we need. I don't think that's crazy. So if you've got some risk tolerance, okay, put them on the table, and make it happen. But it's certainly not the safe play. With that, let's kick it over to Derek Carty, the CEO of the Bat and the BatX Enterprises. Throw up that X. Carty, what's happening here with this slate? Why don't we walk through the pitcher position?
Yeah, so there's kind of like a top 4 at pitcher tonight. We have Hunter Green, we have Logan Gilbert, we have Dylan Cease, and we have Lance Lynn. Personally, I think the guy that I like the most when you consider price and everything, even ownership, is Lance Lynn. Obviously, he doesn't have the same name brand, the same necessarily talent as Green or Gilbert or Cease, but he's a lot better than people think. Like, he was very unlucky last year. He's a better pitcher than people think, has a long leash, is going into Oakland to face the terrible Oakland offense in a great pitcher's park, good pitching weather. And he's cheaper than all these other guys when he projects basically the same. On FanDuel, where you only get 1 pitcher, I have no problem if you want to play Lance Lynn in cash, or certainly as your GPP guy. That's not to say you can't spend up for a Green or Gilbert. But I really like Lynn. I like the discount you're getting on him. I think on DK and cash, I pair him with Hunter Green. I don't have a problem with Gilbert. Cease at his price, probably not for cash. But at lower ownership than the other 3, I think in GPP, Cease becomes very interesting just because the high price is going to make him less owned. In GPPs, the guy that Chad is going to crucify me for saying, I think Hunter Brown's really interesting tonight. Now, Hunter Brown came off of, what did he give up? 12 runs or something insane last start. And he's facing the Braves tonight. So no one's going to play Hunter Brown because they saw him just get wrecked, and he's facing probably the best team in baseball. But it's rare that guys have back-to-back 12 earned run outings. Just going to put it out there. I don't know how often that's happened in history. Probably not a lot. Hunter Brown is better than he was last start, and he's 6.5K, and there's no ownership. It's a tough matchup, but kind of after you get past that top 4, especially if you're ruling out Singer for the weather, there's really not a whole lot else that sticks out anyway. So might as well play the guy that has stuff and upside, has the cheap price, has the low ownership. I think you can make kind of a similar case for Carlos Rodon, who people don't like. he's cheap enough where I think you can definitely play him and there's upside. And yeah, I mean, there's other guys definitely you can play on the slate, Jared Jones or Tanner Bybee or Jose Quintana or whoever. But I think those are the ones I have the most interest in.
Okay, very good. Ice, let's kick. Is there anybody else you want to add before I move on? Any other names, Carty?
I think that's it.
Okay, Ice, what are you doing pitcher wise?
So Lance Lynn chalk is never very comfortable. It's an incredible spot against Oakland. Awesome ballpark for pitching. Oakland's offense is terrible. They strike out a ton. But I don't love the ownership number. I'm probably going to end up underweight on Lance Lynn, and it's because I think that mid 8K range is really strong. My favorite pitcher on the slate is Logan Gilbert. He's going to be popular as well, but he gets a great strikeout matchup against Cincinnati. He has also changed his pitch mix a little bit this year. He has decreased the use of his four-seam fastball, and he's added a cutter. So the strikeout rate is up near 30% to begin this season. Historically, he's been more of like a league average strikeout pitcher, a little bit better, but like around 25% instead of 30%. I feel like he has a lot more upside in this matchup than people are giving him credit for. So he is my highest owned pitcher. Dylan Cease is a little bit too expensive for me. Milwaukee's been really good to begin the season as well. So don't have any interest in going up top for Dylan Cease. It's really that mid 8K range where I'm living. Jared Jones is standing out. One of the best pitching prospects in all of baseball. He's been phenomenal to start the season. Strikeout rate is up above 30%, around 34%. He's given up plenty of home runs, but he does get a nice ballpark for that today in New York. One of the best pitchers parks in all of baseball. The Mets don't strike out a ton, but I'm betting that Jared Jones has the stuff that can overcome that matchup a little bit. So I really like Jared Jones. Tanner Bybee is a guy that absolutely no one is playing, and he was just really bad. He got beat up by the White Sox in his last start. It's in Fenway Park, which is not ideal. Huge ballpark downgrade for him. But I believe in the pitcher. I think it was just a blip on the radar in his last start, and I think he's got plenty of talent to win this matchup here against Boston, who struck out a ton to begin the season. So I will have a decent amount of Tanner Bybee. Hunter Green is the one I'm kind of just playing with the field. I think he has probably the highest upside on the slate. We know he can go out there and strike out double digits, especially against a high strikeout Seattle team. But he also gives up a ton of power. So there's a chance that Seattle could get to him, touch him up for a couple of home runs, and he doesn't quite get the 10 strikeouts that you absolutely need on this slate. So about even with the field on Hunter Green. As far as cheap stuff, I think my favorite guy is JP Sears, and it's not comfortable. He just had a nice outing against the Rangers through several no-hit innings, at 5 or 6 no-hit innings against the Rangers, which was really surprising. This St. Louis offense has really struggled to open the season. We've talked about Arenado's struggles. Goldschmidt has been down to begin the season. I think there's a chance that JP Sears could pay off that $6,300 price tag. So I'm taking some shots there in large field tournaments. And then the other guy that I didn't mention, Yusei Kikuchi, his strikeout stuff has been really good. It's another really high-risk spot against all the right-handed power for the Yankees. But I do think there's strikeout upside in that matchup, so I like him for tournaments as well.
Okay. It seems like a lot of good options where you mentioned a lot of people in that kind of mid-range that you liked. True North says both Carty and Roth almost fell out of their chairs when you said I'll be underweight on Lance Lynn. And I did. You literally talked to me about all the reasons you should definitely play him and then said, I'm going to be underweight on him. That blew my mind. What is your exposure, your ownership? What are your goals for that?
I will be at about 20%, which we haven't projected for 34% ownership. I'm not fading him entirely because the spot is so good, but it's baseball. Anything can happen. Lynn has been susceptible to power throughout his entire career. I'm just betting that Oakland can score a couple of runs off him. Maybe he doesn't rack up the 7 or 8 Ks and he goes something like 5 innings, gives up 2 or 3 runs and gets 6 strikeouts. And I don't think I need that. I think I can beat that with other pitchers in that range.
And let's say he does have a good game. Do you feel that you have those other pitchers that you mentioned still have some upside where even if he does well, you can still catch him or at least, compete?
Yeah, absolutely. You can do it a couple of different ways. A guy like Jared Jones, like Lance Lynn could throw 6 scoreless innings and strike out 8. And Jared Jones could absolutely match him and go 6 shutout innings with 10 strikeouts. Mm-hmm. Like I can beat him with upside in that same range, or I can do something like play JP Sears and get the same amount of points for 2K less in salary and win that way.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. I like it. Okay. Doing pretty good. I think we talked some stacks here, and Ice, you are the man to lead that. Let me start by asking, how much do we want the bats in this Chicago game? Is it a spot where the winds are blowing in? You mentioned at least one side has a decent pitcher going.
Yeah, I don't have any interest in bats, especially if there's any risk at all.
Cool. Let's not do it. Let's just all agree. Yeah. Like, yeah, if it's not like a really good spot, then it's just the one spot where you're like, eh. Eric says, some KC bats. Like, again, I'm fine. If you want to stack it up and you want to get a contrarian play at low ownership and you understand the risk, I do think the likely outcome is still that they play. But like, if you're just plugging in one of these dudes in cash, it just seems unnecessary, like very unnecessary. But Ice, why don't you walk me through what we should be doing here as far as the stacks go?
Yeah, there's plenty of great options today. The Dodgers against Patrick Corbin are jumping off the page. Love that matchup for them. The Braves are an absolutely elite offense. Carty talked a little bit about Hunter Brown. He has been just brutal to start the season. The Braves can win in any matchup, so I certainly like them today. I have interest in both sides of the Diamondbacks Cubs game. We have two weak pitchers that are giving up a ton of hard contact. Diamondbacks against Kyle Hendricks and the Cubs against Tommy Henry. I like the Astros a good amount. Another elite offense. Ronaldo Lopez has been good to start the season, but again, I'm just betting on the talent there in the Houston offense. That would be like the top tier. Moving down a little bit, I think the Padres are really interesting against Wade Miley. The Yankees against Kikuchi. Like, I'm playing plenty of Kikuchi, but there's certainly a world where the Yankees hit 3 home runs off of him and chase him in early from the game. So definitely have interest in the Yankees as well. The Blue Jays are interesting. They're rolling out a bunch of righties against Carlos Rodon. Rodon has had plenty of struggles here over the past 2 seasons or so. So I don't hate the Blue Jays today. And then Fenway Park is interesting. Like, I think there's 2 good pitchers going there, but it's Fenway Park. You can always find offense in Fenway Park. So my minor interest in the Guardians and the Red Sox.
Okay, great. Carty, I want your thoughts on what you're stacking up. But Peter in the chat says, could we have Carty pontificate on Jared Jones, please? Do you have any interest there? And what are your thoughts in general?
I mean, he's a young guy. He has, really good stuff. I think the bat is probably a little low on him in general. Although if you look at his Fangraphs page, the bat actually thinks he's a better pitcher than all the other systems do already. So, it is.
What do you think of the walk rate, Carty? In minors, he was a guy who gave up. He allowed plenty of walks. He's been like elite control so far to start the season. I'm not sure that that's entirely real.
No, I don't think that's real. I think the walks are gonna kind of go up to more like 3 or 4 per 9, and then the Ks are gonna go down to 9 or 10.
Okay, all right. Let's talk about stacks. I guess it seems like you're totally fine if you want to play them in a GPP.
Yeah, I'm okay if you want to play them. You're not playing them in cash, but in tournaments, if you want to, especially on FanDuel, like, go right ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. What stacks are you looking at, Carty?
A lot of the same stuff that Keith likes. The Dodgers are my favorite. They'll be the most popular. Not a crazy amount. I think you can definitely still play Dodgers in a plus EV way. I like both sides of that Arizona-Chicago game. Like Keith said, I like the Guardians quite a bit tonight. I like the Yankees against Kikuchi quite a bit tonight. They're one of the better offenses in baseball, and they're facing one of the better pitchers that all like the good offenses are facing tonight. But I think that's just going to drive the ownership down, and there's definitely ways that they get there. So that's where I'm at. I don't hate a mini Oakland stack against Lance Lynn to get some leverage. I don't think you full stack them tonight, but they're cheap enough where they project well enough for the price, and Lynn's going to be owned enough where you can definitely think about playing some Oakland bats.
Interesting. Okay. Any other teams you want to shout out before we go position by position?
I think that's it.
Okay. I want to let everybody know today is Tourney Tuesday. You can join the tournament. It's in our live stream chat channel in the RG Discord. You should already be in the RG Discord, but make sure you jump in the live stream chat channel. If you come in first, you get a week of RG Premium. It's $10 buy-in. You get to go against, a lot of the RG guys. It's a lot of fun. And I think someone was negotiating for some swag instead of a week of premium. So maybe you could negotiate your reward if you win. Either way, make sure you are joining the RG Discord and jumping in that contest. With that, I think we go around the horn. Carty started off with a little catcher talk, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so Will Smith was the guy I wanted up until the Dodgers lineup came out right before the show. He's out tonight, so probably no Will Smith. I'm fine going down and playing a cheap guy like Ivan Herrera. You can play Wilson Contreras in the same lineup, same spot for a little bit more. I think he's good. I think Bo Naylor, certainly in your Cleveland stacks or as a one-off, is good. Yeah, Danny Jansen, another punt that I think is definitely viable. Freddie Furman, I guess in the KC game, maybe not with the weather, but Ketcherick's kind of terrible tonight. So I think you're spending up for Contreras, or you're just kind of saving money with whatever fits.
Okay, Ice, your thoughts of catcher?
Yeah, really similar. I do like both of the Cardinals guys, Contreras and Herrera. Yainer Diaz is in the fifth spot in the lineup for the Astros. I don't mind their matchup today, so we'll grab a little exposure to him. Danny Jansen, I definitely like. Hit lefties really well last season. Not sure that Rodon is completely back yet. Gabriel Moreno for the Diamondbacks, I don't mind. And Luis Campusano for the Padres, I don't mind playing in stacks.
Okay, John Beeman in the chat says, who's catching for LA? Is it Barnes?
It's Barnes, yeah.
And do we have any interest there? Is he decent or no? We wanted a catcher there because he was good, and now there's a crappy catcher and we don't want him.
Yeah, go ahead, Carty.
I was going to say, you can only play so many Dodgers tonight, and they're really good. So, is Barnes really one of the 4 or 5 that you want? For me, probably not. You can, but I think there's better Dodgers that I want to prioritize more.
And he's not like a 2K punt. He's 3K on DraftKings, so
yeah,
minimal to no interest for me also.
I see. Okay, very good. I assumed he was like the 2K punt, so that's worth noting. All right, first base, Ice, what do you got?
Yeah, lots of upside here. Freeman in a lefty-lefty matchup, I think is totally fine. Goldschmidt has hit lefties well throughout his career. He's been down to start the season, but I don't hate taking some tournament shots on him. Christian Walker, I love against Kyle Hendricks. It looks really bad for Kyle Hendricks to begin the season. He's given up a ton of hard contact, not near as many ground balls, and he's never been a strikeout guy. So he's not missing bats, and the hard contact is very prevalent. Pasquantino would have been the one Royal that I had a bunch of interest in at that price, but probably leave him on the shelf now with the weather there. Don't hate Cassis against Bybee. Let's see. Shohei Ohtani, certainly lefty, totally fine. Garrett Cooper for the Cubs at 4,100. Don't mind him. Have to mention Michael Busch. He's got a home run in 5 straight games. Yep. He's lefty, but the guy is on a hot streak, as Carty would like the people to know. I think that about covers it for first.
Okay. Carty, your thoughts at first, and maybe your thoughts on Michael Busch and his undeniable hot streak?
Yeah, I'm going to be really curious to see what kind of ownership Michael Busch gets tonight, because he is on a hot streak. He's going for some kind of home run record or something tonight. For me, I'll probably pass. He's lefty tonight against, Tommy Henry's not good, but still, this is a guy who's overperforming to start with, and the matchup's not awesome, and hot streaks aren't real. So for me, I don't think I'm on him too much. I like Ohtani and Freeman a lot, even though they're lefty for the Dodgers tonight. They're the 2 best hitters. They're against Patrick Corbin. So I'm totally fine playing one of those guys, either in cash or in your Dodgers stack or whatever. Outside of the Dodgers stuff, though, I like Josh Naylor quite a bit in tournaments. I think the Cleveland stack's going to be a little bit under-owned tonight. I like Vinny Pasquantino, but again, the weather scares me a little bit there. Joey Gallo is kind of the cheap guy that I think if you need to save money for 3K tonight is fine. There's a little bit of concern that once Yarbrough comes in, we might see him gone, but at the price, I'm okay with it.
Okay. How about second base?
Mookie Betts is the guy that you want to get up to if you can, and especially with no Will Smith in the lineup now, I think it makes it easier to get up to Mookie because, again, you can only play so many Dodgers, and Will Smith was going to take up a good chunk of cash and catcher. So I like Mookie Betts. Otherwise, I like Andres Jimenez hitting second for Cleveland tonight in Boston. It's a great park. Again, I think Cleveland's going to be kind of under-owned tonight. Nico Horner in your Cub stacks, Ketel Marte in your Diamondback stacks, Gleyber Torres in your Yankee stacks, that kind of thing. If you need to go down and save money, Luis Garcia Jr. for 2.7 for Washington. I don't think we have a lineup for them yet, but assuming he's in there, I think he's perfectly fine to save some money with tonight. Yeah. And on FanDuel, I mentioned Horner, but on FanDuel in particular, I like Horner at his price.
Okay. Ice, your thoughts at second?
Yeah, Bet's clearly the top guy here. Love Ketel Marte in tournaments. Nico Horner is great as well. Luis Guillorme is a cheap Braves option down near the bottom of the order, but certainly don't mind that.
How did he do yesterday? Because we talked all about whether or not we were supposed to play this guy yesterday. Do you remember?
He did not do much, if anything. I think he had one hit. Yeah, he had 3 points, so one single is all he had.
Okay, all right. Just curious.
Which, I mean, not ideal, but in that offense, I don't hate it. He's not as popular as he was yesterday, so definitely don't mind him today.
Okay.
Love Gleyber Torres in tournaments. I mentioned liking Kikuchi a decent amount today, but certainly would not be surprised by a couple of home runs, and Torres is certainly a guy that can get that done.
Okay. Third base, right? Are we at third now, Ice?
Yes, on the third base, Chris Morel for the Cubs is one of my favorite options here. Love Manny Machado as well against a lefty. Austin Riley, certainly. Jose Ramirez in Fenway Park, certainly don't hate that. Arenado against a lefty, if you think that he still has something left in the tank. I don't mind Devers either. He's off to a bit of a slow start this year, but looks really low owned for tournaments, and we know he has tons of talent.
Okay. Carter, your thoughts at third?
I agree that on DraftKings, Morel is the guy that I have the most interest in. I think he's underpriced. I think he's in a good matchup. I like him a lot. I really like the Jose Ramirez call. In tournaments, I don't think a lot of people are going to play him necessarily. I think people will gravitate more towards, Machado, Riley, maybe some Devers, maybe some Arenado. I think Ramirez is kind of the guy that's left out tonight, but he actually projects the best of anybody on the slate. He's in the best park. So at his ownership and his projection, I really like Ramirez as a tournament guy, either in your stacks or just as a one-off with something else. Chris Taylor is a really good play tonight, especially on FanDuel where, I guess on DraftKings he isn't eligible at third, but on FanDuel he's third short outfield. Third, I think, is a spot that makes a lot of sense to play him tonight. He's 2.3K. He's hitting 6 for the Dodgers against Patrick Corbin. I like Taylor a lot tonight as a way to save money in basically the best spot of the night.
Nice. Okay. How about shortstop?
So if you're not playing Mookie at second, obviously Mookie is going to be the top option at short as well. I think short's a little bit deeper than second, so I would probably play him at second if I'm playing him. I like Bobby Witt Jr. a lot on FanDuel, but again, we have weather concerns there. So if you're not playing Witt, I think there's guys you can go down to. I think Dansby Swanson tonight is in a really good spot hitting. Actually, we don't have a lineup there. Presumably hitting somewhere in the top 4 against Tommy Henry with platoon advantage. We have Chris Taylor again on FanDuel, who's eligible at short also. Anthony Volpe leading off in those Yankee stacks, I think is interesting. Xander Bogaerts leading off against Wade Miley, I think is interesting. And then on DK, if you need to save some money at this position, which I think it's a decent position to do it at, Mason Wynn for 2.6 and David Hamilton for 2.5, I think are both fine.
Okay. Keith, your thoughts at shortstop?
Yeah, love Dansby Swanson. Manny Machado has shortstop eligibility as well. Orlando Arcia got a nice bump up to 6th in the lineup, so certainly don't mind him in a Brave stack. The speed guys that Carty mentioned at the end there, Mason Wynn and David Hamilton, like that's much more viable now that teams are running more with the rule changes that were put into place last year. So definitely like those calls. Ellie De La Cruz is a one-off against Logan Gilbert. I don't hate big power and speed guy, so there's some upside there.
Okay, great. How about outfield?
All right, tons of options as always. Top guy for me is going to be Ronald Acuna. Has struggled a little bit here to start the season from a power perspective. He's still stealing bases, though. Lots of upside at the top of that Braves lineup. You can play Ohtani in the outfield as well. Michael Harris, another Braves guy that I really like, bump up to number 2 in the order for him. Chris Taylor has outfield eligibility on DraftKings. Carty's mentioned him a couple of times already. Andy Pajes in the Dodgers lineup as well in the 7 spot. Nice little prospect for them. Some power upside there. Teoscar Hernandez is one of my favorite Dodgers bats. Love him against a lefty anytime. Cody Bellinger looks really good in a lefty-lefty matchup. He was outstanding against lefties here, so don't let that scare you off. Tommy Henry has trouble missing bats, so certainly like the upside for Bellinger today. Of course, guys like Aaron Judge. Corbin Carroll is one of my favorites on the entire slate. Love him against Hendricks today. Marcelo Zuna. Tons of things that you can do in the outfield here.
Carty, your thoughts on the outfield?
I like a lot of what Ice does. The Dodgers in particular, like I love tonight. I think all 4 of their outfielders are in play. Obviously, you have Ohtani, and then you have Teoscar. You have Andy Pajes. You have Chris Taylor, who on DraftKings is outfield only. They're all fantastic tonight. You can play 3 of them in cash. Honestly, you can play all 4 of them in cash because you can play Ohtani first if you want to do that. Outside of them, though, if you're looking for something that's not going to be super popular, I like Aaron Judge a lot tonight as a one-off. I like him a lot in your Yankee stacks. Fernando Tatis, kind of same deal, a high projected guy, high salary guy that just is not going to be as owned as like an Ohtani or an Acuna, who's great. Like I love Acuna too. But I think those guys are going to be a little lower owned than they probably should be tonight. In terms of cheaper stuff, I like Jock Peterson a lot on both sites, but especially on FanDuel, 2.6K over there. Arizona's in one of the better spots of the night. Peterson's a guy who's kind of like strikeout or home run type of thing. Kyle Hendricks gives up a lot of contact, doesn't really strike guys out. So this is a good spot for Peterson. The price is good. Pinch hit risk isn't super high for him this year, which is kind of nice. And who else are we looking at? I think the Bellinger call, I think, is pretty decent. The price on FanDuel is too low for him. Nick Senzel, if you need a really cheap guy to punt with on FanDuel that isn't Andy Pajes. Again, I think we're still waiting on the Washington lineup unless it's come in while we've been talking, but 2.4 for Senzel in a spot like this, I think is quite good.
Okay, very good. I want to get some home run calls from both of you guys as well. So we need some Eysters, Flysters, but first, there's never been a better time. Sign up for RotoGrinders Premium. NBA, PGA, NHL, MMA, MLB. Get yourself a 6-month combo subscription, exclusive price of $469.99. That is a savings of $250 as opposed to buying 6 individual months. You can also test run a little 3-day pass for $19.99. And you get your first month of RG Premium for $40 off for a limited time. So a lot of cool things going on. Make sure you are signing up for RG Premium. You get everything we have to offer. That's the move. With that, Ice, where are we going for some bombs? Give me something that's like a little chalkier and then something a little off the board.
All right. Chalky, I will go with Teoscar Hernandez. Love this spot for him against Corbin tonight. A little bit sneakier. I like, really sneaky actually, like Mitch Haniger to get one off of the popular Hunter Green.
Nice. Okay, I approve. Carty, you got a couple names for me?
Yeah. I'm with you on the Teoscar kind of high-owned call. Aaron Judge isn't going to be low owned, but the bad thing is he has the best chance tonight. So, at reasonable ownership, I think Judge is going to be a really good play tonight. Mm-hmm. And then a little under the radar, give me Joey Gallo.
Nice. Okay.
And then in terms of, I know you always like hearing
I do the odds. Yeah. The odds. What's the best bet, mathematically speaking?
Best bet was actually Mike Trout, whose game just started. After that, there's not a whole lot that looks.
What was good. Mike Trout's odds, just so that I can get an idea?
Plus 350.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. All right, we got some QQs coming in, and I don't know, we're probably 15-ish minutes from lock, something like that. Who knows? Baseball starts at random times every day. Let's see. Cardi, I'm starting with you. Lynn and Carroll or Green and Peterson on FanDuel?
It's close. I mean, you can't really go wrong there. I'll take the Lynn side.
Okay. Amateur Hour says, Ice, not that we have a Cubbies lineup yet for DK GPPs, but at exactly the same price. Can you talk about Canario versus Kelenic?
Yeah, I mean, Canario is a solid prospect. Kelenic was definitely a little bit better prospect coming up, but he struggled to begin his career. We really don't know what Canario is quite yet. Assuming that he's in that lineup, I don't hate that as a pivot at all.
Okay. FanDuel Cash question, Cardi. Kike, there's a 3v3 for you. FanDuel Cash. Kike, Arenado, McCarthy, or Nico, Chris Taylor, and Jock Jams?
It's definitely the second one.
Okay. Neither of them seemed very good for what it's worth. But then again, I don't know what I'm talking about. Do have to keep that in mind. This is an interesting kind of like behind the scenes of the back question for you, Cardi. Can Cardi explain how he projects plate appearances for guys like Chris Taylor or Kike in LA? They've been pinch hitting like San Fran to start the season. Is it average plate attempts in the last 10 games? Is it manual each day, et cetera, et cetera?
No. So there's a separate projection for pinch hit risk. So first it'll project how deep the starting pitcher is going to go. And it's not going to assume any pinch hits against him really. So it's going to assume Kike or whoever is going to play the whole time the starter's in. Then it's going to look at the rest of the innings that the bullpen's going to be playing. And it's going to say, okay, Kike has tonight the chances, a 34% chance of getting pinch hit for. So it's going to dock him basically that amount of plate appearances from the bullpen innings, which is oftentimes like a lot. Like even though the Dodgers project really well tonight, I haven't seen Kike in any optimal lineups really. Like the pinch hit risk does really hurt him, and there's just better Dodgers, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Very interesting. Let's see what else we've got here. FanDuel Cash. Ice, I'm coming to you for this. I need 2 Morel, Harris Jr., Machado.
Morel and Harris Jr.
Okay, great. Jumping into the YouTube. Hey, by the way, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you hit us with a thumbs up. It's free content from 2 very, very, very sharp people and 1, weatherman. But give a like for those 2 here, and we'll get to some of your questions as well. Jacob says, Roth, can I get a KC update? Yes, but there's nothing to update. There's rain around now. There's a tarp on now. By the time the game starts, that rain should be clearing out. Still might need a brief late start. I still expect another round, maybe an hour and a half or 2 hours after this round clears, which would put it in game, maybe middle of the game, maybe mid to later innings, depending on how fast they can start and if they start on time. And then I don't know if they'll finish beyond that. So there's kind of a lot going on. I'm honestly surprised they haven't, postponed it already, which makes me slightly more optimistic that they're going to try to play. Any love for Gavin? I sheet my pants. I sheets my pants. Cardi, any love for sheets?
That's the weather game, right?
Oh,
I don't think you need to mess with that really.
Yeah. But is that the pitcher that we liked in that game?
No, Sheets is a first baseman for the White Sox.
Okay,
I assume that's who he's talking about.
Yeah, sorry. Who's the pitcher that we liked there?
Singer.
Okay. Is it viable to play Kike and Chris Taylor together in FanDuel Cash? Cardi, I'll give that one to you as we were just talking about that pinch hit risk.
Kike's been pinch hit for a lot more than Taylor has this year. So personally, I feel a lot more comfortable playing Taylor. Kike, I don't think I'd play him tonight. I think if you're looking for a cheaper guy, a guy like Jock Peterson is just a better play. If you're looking for another Dodgers outfielder, Tasker Hernandez is just a better play. Like, I don't think Kike in cash is the best tonight.
Okay, great. Ice, is Edward Olivares in the lineup today? I got a notice saying he's out, but it's showing he's batting 4th. Do we know what the deal with this guy is?
I mean, I've seen he's in the lineup. I actually got an under bet on him tonight, so I'm hoping he starts.
Okay.
But as far as I know, he is.
Dean says he's in. All right. So whatever notice you got saying he's out was incorrect. He is in. Ice, FanDuel tournaments, Bybee or Kikuchi?
Have a slight preference for Kikuchi, I think, but I'm taking shots on both of them tonight.
Okay. Good question here. Carty, where would you rank D-backs as a stack today compared to some of the other stacks? Are they middle of the field?
Yeah, so in terms of raw points, the bat likes them second to the Dodgers, kind of in a cluster with like them, the Cubs, the Guardians, the Yankees, the Braves. They will be, I think, on the higher side of ownership from that group, at least one of the higher ones. But I still think they're good. Like you can definitely have some Diamondback stacks.
Okay, great. Carty, your top 3 pitchers on DraftKings for smaller entry tournaments.
Lynn, Gilbert, and Cease. If you want something that's really cheap, you can do a guy like Rodon, or there's other options. But I think those other 3 are fine in that format.
Great. All right. Ice, over to you here. Last piece in a FanDuel single entry tournament, McCarthy or Chris Taylor?
Chris Taylor, especially if you have additional Dodgers.
Is Chris Taylor the guy who's never hit the ball?
I mean, he strikes out a lot, but he has big power.
Okay. He does hit the ball sometimes.
Okay.
I think we're
Isn't he a guy who like literally has barely, like he maybe has a handful of hits all season and it's just been like historically astronomically terrible to start the season?
I think his name's Nolan Arenado.
Oh,
guy.
Favorite 2 GPP pitchers. Ice, this one's for you. What do you got?
I will go with Jared Jones and give me Logan Gilbert. I think he's coming in below Hunter Green and Lance Lynn by a decent amount, and I think he has as good an upside.
We're postponed, baby. All right.
Good thing I didn't say Singer.
All right, sorry. That's my bad. All right, that's good. By the way, Chris Taylor is hitting not 320. He's hitting .032. He has 1 hit. He has 1 freaking hit all season. That is what I was talking about.
Yeah, I didn't realize just how bad he's been. I also don't care. It's been 3 days. Like it's fine.
All right. That's still like, I mean, that's pretty amazingly, horribly, incredibly bad. Every time his name comes up, I'm like, why on earth would anyone play this guy until he actually hits the ball more than once in the season? Like, you got to do it twice for me to believe it.
Because going forward, we're going to expect him to hit the ball more than once. It doesn't matter that he hasn't yet. It matters what he's going to do next. And what he's going to do next is probably be a lot better.
That's something to do with the 245 ISO. Yeah, 245 ISO since lefties since the beginning of last year. That's pretty good.
All right, I got to get this postponement out. All right, that's great. I'm glad we got there. All right, back to it here. Oh, we got to get my guy Daryl George's question all the way from South Carolina. Yahoo Cash question. Daryl George, Carty, the highest projectably owned pitcher and worst MLB team bullpen.
Repeat that for me, please.
Yeah, highest projected owned pitcher, I think, and the worst bullpen.
Like the highest owned pitcher that has a bad bullpen behind him?
No, I think these are 2 separate questions, but I'm not fully sure. But
okay, so
highest owned pitcher.
Highest owned pitcher on DraftKings projects to be Hunter Green. On FanDuel, I think projects to be Lance Lynn.
Mm-hmm.
And then what's the question? Just who has the worst bullpen?
Who's got the worst bullpen? These are questions that I like to know as well, just because I know something about baseball.
I can take a quick look. Bat thinks worst bullpen is the Nationals tonight.
How about just in general? Like Ice, I'll go to you. Whose bullpen sucks?
It was definitely Oakland was the bullpen we targeted all last season. They do have Mason Miller in there who works a couple innings every once in a while, so that definitely improves their pen. Let's see. Okay. I think Cincinnati's has been pretty bad to begin the season.
Okay, good to know.
I haven't dove into bullpens very much yet this season. We just don't have a ton of data.
That's fair. All right, what else do we got? This is always fun. Ice, Ohtani or Acuna, straight up.
Yes, of course. Give me Acuna today. I think he breaks out of that power funk.
Okay. Carty, any Quintana on DK?
So I think he's fine. Like at his price, he projects pretty well, but he doesn't project to be sneaky. So like he projects, I think is 14%, like the 5th highest owned pitcher. So at that, it's kind of just like, okay. If he was going to be sneakier, then I like him. But if he comes into there, then he's just fine.
Okay. Is Colton Cowser the best player in baseball right now?
No.
Right behind
That's
Michael
not, even,
Bush.
that's not even like a dumb YouTube guy question. That's who's producing tonight? Is it Steve?
It's got to be Steve.
Steve, come on. We expect better of you.
What else do we got? Ice, any Jones Bybee combos in a DK GPP?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. You can go super chalky with the bats if you do that.
Okay. Andrew says, wait, Carty, how can you check the bat bullpens via the back? Is that something you can only do behind the scenes?
Oh, yeah, I can do it because I built it.
Yeah. He does have special privileges as he created the entire thing. Yeah, it's fair. What else do we got? FanDuel Oh, you know what? Gotta get back into the YouTube. That's my bad, guys. DK GPP Carty, Jansen or Herrera? Herrera would correlate with win, but projects slightly worse.
I mean, by slightly worse, I think you mean like 0.03 of a point or something. So go with the correlation. They project almost the same.
Great. Okay. FanDuel single entry. Ice, do you think it's okay to drop from JJ Bidet to Seth Brown as a one-off if it allows me to get Mookie Boots?
Yep, totally fine.
Okay. Nice. Thoughts on a Padres stack, Ice, and FanDuel single entries?
Yeah, I have a little bit of interest against Wade Miley. Like Miley's only made one start so far this season. He only threw like 54 pitches or something like that, I think, if I recall. So he's not going to go super deep into the game. I'm fine with it.
Okay. Baller says, hey, don't forget, jump in the $10 tournament that we got going on. We got the $10 buy-in tournament. If you win, you get a week of free RG Premium or maybe some swag. Maybe you could talk them into both. I don't know. I didn't say that, but just it's possible. Would you be FanDuel single entry Carty Kellenic in a stack or Goldie as a one-off?
I mean, obviously Goldie's the better play, but you probably play the guy in your stack instead.
Yeah. Okay. What else do you have? Woo, these questions are coming in hot. We got a barbecue question. I'll get to that after lock. Is today a Matt Olson day, Carty?
I mean, I like other guys more than him. But yeah, you can play Matt Olson today. The Braves are they're against Hunter Brown. Like, we don't know, like, is Hunter Brown just entirely broken right now, or is it just some bad variance? Matt Olson, the Braves are really good. If Hunter Brown's broken, they could score 15 runs. They could also get shut out. I mean, like, Hunter Brown is theoretically a very talented pitcher. So, do with that what you will.
Okay. 5,600 left, Ice, in a DK GBP. I've already got 4 Dodgers. Do I just leave the salary and go to Teoscar Hernandez, or do I go with a pricey one-off?
I'd complete the stack.
Nice. I love that. Pick one, Carty, Olson, Riley, Ozuna.
Olson, Riley, Ozuna. Probably Riley for me.
Okay. TJ says, hey, Carty, how about Michael Bush? Is he on a hot streak or what? Hashtag hot streaks are a thing. To be fair, I will defend Carty because we've worked together for a decade. He believes hot streaks are a thing. He believes that you do not know when a hot streak ends or when one will begin, and thus they are not predictive about what will happen the next day.
Very well said.
Thank you.
I don't need to say anything else. You nailed it.
Thank you. I've worked with you. Yeah, we've been through that dance a time or two. Less than a minute until lock. Carty, do you like a 2-man San Diego stack, Compensano and Profar with a 5-man Cub stack on DK single entry?
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I don't love San Diego tonight, but they're fine, and I like the Cub stack. That works.
Okay. If I win the $10 tournament, can I come hang out at Roth's house for the weekend? Yeah, I think so. Unless you're like,
you need a babysitter, right?
Yeah, exactly. You babysit kids. Yeah. All right, we hit lock. Did get a quick question. It was Roth's favorite barbecue joint, and I have to answer this because I feel passionate about it. There's a place in Austin called Terry Black's, and their brisket is so good that the first time I had it, a single tear just like dripped down my face. And now if I'm within 100 miles of Austin, I will drive to Austin to get this place, Terry Black's. It's so elite that like it just blows your mind. It's 11 out of 10. Incredible. That's the answer. And I feel strongly about it. If you go to Austin, go to Terry Black's. With that, I think we can get on out of here. Everyone says, hey, great show. I agree. Make sure you hit us with a thumbs up on the way out. So for Carty and for Ice and for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes, guys, we appreciate you. We love you. Now we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crushed.